Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Steel Division 2. Today's stream we are gonna have Jaapaasa playing versus Liszek in the FOB Arena semi-final. So this is a new league for those of you who are not aware. And yeah, we've seen on the channel 3 exciting games between Jaapaasa and König. And today I hope we're gonna see some exciting games between Liszek and Jaapaasa. And yeah, so I've already been told by Jaapaasa that the map they're going to be playing is Haroshaya. Liszek first pick 28th Jäger. He's going to play that on Vanguard, and Jaapaasa countered with ATF on Maverick. So that's certainly an interesting matchup. Odd choices to be sure, at least in my opinion. Because, I mean, Jäger is not a bad division these days. It definitely has gotten quite some strengths. However, is it a first pick, especially on Haroshaya? I don't think so, but we can take a look at the divisions. I'm just going to use my build to show that. You can ignore some of the things you might disagree with. I am aware that some of these divisions I haven't played in ages, so the builds might be a little bit outdated. And yeah, it definitely is outdated. But yeah, I mean, now with the MP44 buff, the Sturmjäger is not that bad anymore, actually. Especially since it also gets shock, ironically, which, you know, these guys don't with the submachine guns, but that's a whole other story. Either way, with Sturmjäger, I think it's going to be much better now. And yeah, I mean, the Jäger, that issue kind of remains. It's still not a fantastic unit, but you know, it is what it is. You also have some of these guys and the Jäger Pioneer. Yeah, some Jäger Pioneers as well mixed in there. So there's a nice bit of hybridness, of course, in that, but is it for Haroshaya the greatest one? No, it's Jäger Vanguard curve. And yeah, in the AT tab, you know, there's definitely options that gives us more flexibility. This thing is good now. You have more Martyrs now. So there's options for the town for sure, but still it's an interesting one. Now, one thing that of course is important here is that for the town specifically, these guys are going to be really problematic. For your pass to deal with, right? These are very strong on these town, or like on these maps where you have some very clear areas where you kind of start piling up units, like the town in the center as well as the flanks. So this is where this is going to be super strong. So this is something that is not to be underestimated. You have off maps as well. You have good air force, so there's definitely strengths to this, which I can see as a first pick, but the division as a whole, to me, is more of a counter pick division, if I'm going to be honest, than a first pick one. It certainly has to be played very aggressively, kind of similar in that regard to Gebirgsjäger, despite those two divisions being quite differently in many ways. Royce, that's not the 28th Jäger incident. Yeah, he's, Roy, I think, has experience with that. But so yeah, this is an interesting choice to me, at least. I would not start with that. Now, Jaapaasa's counter with ATF is also interesting. It's not bad. There are going to be issues that I think we can talk about already. I just need to find the build. Probably no, there we go. So first off, having no armor in A phase is not that big of a deal in this matchup because 28th Jäger is not a super highly armored division either. So you can definitely play around that. So that is not going to be the issue that I can see in this game at all. The AA, on the other hand, can be more of an issue because 28th Jäger has a good air tab. So that can definitely air spam ATF early on. And the fact that Jäger have cheap infantry makes it easy to air spam, I would argue. At least. It also means that for every Jäger that is somewhere, Jaapaasa is going to have to send a more expensive unit to react to. Exception being, again, this is a deck that I built ages ago. You have these guys in A phase, so that is definitely something that Jaapaasa can use to react to the Jäger. And with the M1 Garand, that should probably outrate the Jäger within 500 meters. The machine gun difference is significant though. So there's that. These guys, no, these actually are available in A phase too, so that's not that bad actually. Never mind. Can still be an issue though. And then, of course, these, I think, except for the Sturmjäger, I think should be really hard to beat. They're also quite a bit more expensive, though, so I think that is definitely fair that these then do outperform them. But I think that the important part here is that Jaapaasa's CQC, I think, is quite a bit better. And that's probably where I see the reasoning for the ATF pick. It's basically you can't pick a good infantry division with a better infantry division. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to, because just for the CQC part, you can just throw this one in, and we'll, with the TNT, already do very well. Forceman will do very well at either range, and they will do better than the Jäger at either range. Forceman BR, at range, pretty good. This thing, I don't really know, but it's probably still better at either range at the end of the day than the Jäger. So I think this is kind of, and then you have the AB Paras in there. So I think that's kind of a recurring theme if you go through all of the units that you have available there. Again, ignore that build. It's not the best one. It's an old one. I hardly ever played this division. I actually haven't in ages. But this is kind of what we're looking at. So in infantry time, I think Jaapaasa's infantry is for the most part just superior, except for the price. But even there's units that can do it. And then, you still have the good tools for town fights with the Shermans and the M10s. So that's not going to be an issue. Jäger, you can't really counter airspam that one because it has good AA. You can, but it's not that easy. So I think this is where it kind of stops. I think the biggest issue really is the AA because Jaapasa really asked for getting air spammed here if he decided to pick a division that can easily get air spammed into a division that is known to air spam. That is where I see the issue. But in terms of the infantry, I think Jaapasa should have the upper hand. Thanks, Namaste, Eat. I will do my best to keep it up. And here we are. But again, having a lot of cheap stuff in A phase is a significant strength. So this is definitely where I can see, with combined with the Vanguard income, where I can see this working super well. This also means that, Liszek actually has the income there to start the SMM early on. I think that's going to be very important as well. So he can really take advantage of that weakness. And we also have to remember, if Jaapaasa uses a lot of his expensive units in A phase, that's going to hurt even more if he's going to get air spammed. So, something that we should not underestimate. I think what's going to be key for Liszek is that he also makes sure that he secures the skies off with a little bit of AA, just so that Jaapaasa can't use his own air force to, first of all, do some counter strikes as well as using it to deal with the air spam. That's, I think, what is going to be very important here. Now, Jaapaasa is on the left, which, to be honest, neither of these sides are significantly better than the other, I would argue. Now, it depends a lot on the matchup, if we're honest, actually. Maybe I should rephrase that. In a matchup where both divisions can realistically contest any area of the map, it is not that big of a deal. Blue side gets an easy flag at the start with this one. But a good push from red can easily offset that. Red side also has the advantage of having 3 flags here in a very pushable location that you can, if you do a good push here, you can easily grab that. On the other side, you have this one that's easy, and then you have to go much deeper to get 2 more. Same for the town, kind of. These are very close. But with the way that red gets in here, if red really wants to push the town, he can easily push into here, and then he can start pushing that one as well. We see red being a little bit more successful at pushing here than blue, at least in my experience. But I think the real difference are the flanks here. Easy flag versus not so easy flag, but you get 3. That's kind of, in that regard, it's balanced, right? It's just, if you like CQC, of course, it's an issue, because if you like CQC and the speed to push here, then of course it is blue side favored, because red can't really rush into here and get a good early push on going, but they also can't retake this flag. I think this is where this is going to matter. Now, in this matchup, I would say it's fairly even. Jaapaasa can definitely re-grab this if he wants to. Jaapaasa can also push into here if he wants to. but Liszek has the tools to fight over this. Liszek has the tools to fight over that. Whereas ATF sure has better secrecy, it's important on how, but it doesn't do everything. This is absolutely true. However, we also need to keep in mind that the range units that Jaapaasa gets are not too bad. Also, the hybrid units that Jaapaasa gets are better. I think this is the important part here. But again, I would not say this is necessarily ATF favored. I think the crucial point here is really, will the air spam early on be too damaging to Jaapaasa, and can Jaapaasa, with his more, generally speaking, more expensive units, is he going to be able to react adequately to the Vanguard income? And then comes B phase, while Jaapaasa gets his income, Liszek can bring out the Neville Werfers, and if there's like, if you manage to push Jaapaasa to one small area of, for example, the town zone where like Jaapaasa might only have a hold over here, you can easily just destroy that with a Nebel. So this is where I can see some issues in the long run. And again, we've talked about the ATF's strong infantry, so it is definitely the other side of the coin. Now, Jaapaasa brings a cheap 50 cals, which is an interesting choice, but it's not a bad one in my opinion. If you combine a lot of those together and you're going up against mostly infantry, that can actually work. You can do some pinning. It works better if you combine it with some armored things, but you know, that rush I've seen working a couple of times, and it's not something that you generally speaking expect, so I can see that working. So downside, we do see a light deployment by Jaapaasa, so probably just defensive. We have to remember, right side doesn't need to push this. It's just an option. And that kind of goes both ways, right? So red side can do a massive push here, and blue will have to make a decision. Do you want to contest that or not? And then on the other side, we do have this thing where blue side will always put something in here, but you never know how much it is. The red side have to decide, do they want to just give that flag up? Do they want to contest it? And if they want to contest it, how much do they want to commit to it? So it kind of goes both ways. Jaapaasa not committing that much over here. Liszek definitely committing a little bit more because it doesn't want to lose the flank immediately. For the time, we do see the major part of the deployment here, of course. Marder there as well. I'm surprised about that because I would say the Stug is not a lot, but a little bit better. Although, does it have? No, this is not the one with the machine gun. Because then the Stug is a little bit better for infantry support. Yeah, especially because it has more HE shells, and the Marder is probably not going to be super useful over here. We do see early Hotchkiss. Does maybe 28th Jaeger has the this 15-point recon planes, in which case that would make a lot of sense, so at least you can force them off with this one. Light deployment in a town by Jaapaasa, but I mean, Forceman and some Saboteur can potentially be quite interesting. It's the other way around, Koenig. 28th Jaeger was first picked, which is a risky first pick in my opinion, and 80th was a counter pick, which is not too bad in my opinion. But yeah. Curve says 28th's only really good planes are AT planes, which aren't very useful versus A-phase ATF. I disagree because what Koenig says, you have fighter bombers and those are decent. You don't need phenomenal fighter bombers either way. I think they're good, but even if they're just okay, as long as the loadout is good enough to kill and pin things, and you can just send them over and over and over again, that's already all you need. They don't need to be better than that, in my opinion, if your opponent doesn't have AA. But yeah, they're actually good. I'm not sure if those are the ones with 2 bomb loadouts. It could be. If so, that would actually be really good, because, again, the stock guys should probably be relatively uncontested, and that should allow him to come back in and do bomb runs at a time. So Jaapaasa is probably going to push this, which is something that you can do. It is well known by now. I don't know if that just changed with skill level or if this is something that came up more recently, but for a long time where I was playing it, push into here was not super commonly seen, and it's definitely become more in fashion in the last year or so. But still, you never know if it's going to happen. It does not happen that often. So just that. Curb says it only got 50 kilograms. Yeah, but if you have enough of those, they actually do damage on a fighter bomber because they don't spread out as much. I have actually seen 28th Jaeger. It's one of my first casts where I've seen 28th Jaeger versus, I think, a BX Jaeger. Maybe it was that. Either way, I think I remember those Focke-Wulfs being quite decent, actually. Despite you not expecting as much. I did not expect that either, to be honest. But I've since learned if you put enough 50-kilogram bombs on a fighter bomber, it's actually decent. So yeah, there comes the push. On the other side, we do have a decently sized push in there. Lots of Sturmjäger and Jäger, basically. Some flamers leader. Seafire coming in, so that's a good pick there, because it also has the guns, so you can actually shoot things down. It has very limited ammo, but it's going to be enough for one run. Let's see Jaapaasa know what he has to expect. Now we can actually look at the deployment. So very defensive on Liszek's part. He doesn't want to push right away. He just want to get in. Jaapaasa on the other hand is more aggressive. He has some decently fast transports, but not super fast except for the traction, which I guess since the French car is traction, something like that, pronounced probably. More of those coming in. Up north, the IHA team can stop these guys potentially, but Jaapaasa knows that he needs to move on, as and now it's keeps on switching target. Oh, Saboteur is going to get flamed. Nope, it's not. 13-11 for Liszek early on, with him grabbing this flag. He unloads here, which means Jaapaasa is going to get to keep this flag. 50 cal blob is not in La Traction. Okay. Again, I didn't know if it's La or Le, but now I know. Great. Horsemen in here, they are going to be a bit of a problem, especially since Sturmjäger are not in a position where they can actually leverage their MP44. So that's going to be a big issue here, because the MG42 itself against the Horsemen is not super good. Also, it's an MG42 is good in channel, but there's limitations of what it can do. There we go, HE111 coming in. This is not the plane I would have chosen. I mean, we've talked about the 50-kilogram bombs. On a high-flying bomber, it's definitely a good call. Seafire is going to get on the back of it, probably. I can definitely kill that. It has, I think, very good resilience, and this thing has low ammo, so maybe it survives, but I have a hard time believing. Okay, actually, I think it's going to get out. The Focke-Wulf might kill the Seafire. Yeah, no, that ammo, that 20mm ammo would have been crucial here. Never mind, it's going to get out. Wow. That actually would have been huge for Jaapaasa killing that early on. But again, some pinning was done. Some of the 50, one of the 50 cals was killed, I think. Right? Yeah, there we go. 3 of them are still alive, still annoying. This thing, I guess, is going to go for a strafing run now. Which you can do. Jaapaasa bring more reinforcement, but I mean, he's disrupted the deployment of Liszek already, and also very importantly, he's right now eating away resources that Liszek would need in town to actually make an attack. That we do see an attack beacon by Liszek, so he's planning to strike this either by artillery or bombers, I would assume. Just wanting to ping where the forcemen are, which of course are the biggest threat in here, obviously. Magazines are an issue, Chasseurs Para are also a bit of a problem, but not nearly as big, for obvious reasons. So, not going very well. There we go, Focke-Wulf coming in. Now, I think the HE111 was a big mistake here. Yeah, so this is the problem here. With the Hotchkiss being there, we do have quite a bit of a spread. And this is of course, that's a major problem there. This flag being wrapped though, thanks to the bombing strike. Jäger being forced off, now have to move. Marder moving in. Fortunately, do have bazookas, and the Marder needs to be a little bit careful about where it's going. Oh, the Hotchkiss are actually going after the Jäger, doing good work there. I mean, you have 2 Hotchkiss in that. How can it not work well against infantry? But as I was going to say, the HE111 I think was something that Liszek probably just took into the deck to have more air spam against ATF, but it probably won't achieve that much. I mean, it can pin a decently large area in the town, but more than a couple of houses won't hit anyway. So, still. So, how much use that really is, I don't know. Focke-Wulf. Lost line of sight by the looks of it. The problem is it's got quite a bit of suppression already. It might get forced off, but even if it doesn't, spread will be large enough for the forceman to not be damaged too badly. We got the bombs off, but there we go. Spread is too big. So, definitely not ideal. Third and 11 again, but it's only really that flag going back and forth, depending on the Jager could move in. I mean, that is still massive. If Liszek can repeat that a couple of times, that's still good, but of course it's not as good as a bomber run actually killing things. Marder now pushing in aggressively. There's no Forceman BR left here, so he can actually do that. But again, it's just still a Marder at the end of the day. It will run out of HE eventually. It is actually down to 4 shells, so after 4 shots it's basically useless for AT purposes, for infantry support purposes. It's only 5 mil, proving to be really annoying for the infantry. So Liszek's not going to get across into Jaapaasa and nicely reinforced with some Makizana. His push here failed. He got forced off by the units that were over here. So Jaapaasa now has to, I think, rethink his push over here and probably should not actually invest any further units into that. So he should rather make sure that he doesn't lose the town, or maybe bring up a little push over here. So I think that would be the ideal way to react to this. Any further pushes, it of course would not really work. Once this is really stopped and your opponent has reinforced, it's not where you want to push. Wolf coming in for strafing. I forgot what the loadout was. Oh, this is the one with the full 20 mils. Yeah, it's an A8. Yeah, this is pretty good then. So for strafing, not bad. And since he already bought it, might as well continue using it. I'm not 100% sure if it was actually needed, since he could have gotten the fighter bomber as well. But I mean, these are these kind of in the moment reactions where you see an opportunity and you react. It's obviously you can make better calls, but it's one of those things that in the moment is a very understandable mistake. Charlotte tries to go after the Citroën Hotchkiss, but kind of fails. How do you pronounce that? This is not a very French name. For some reason we see it with the French, so I have to imagine it's a French company or a guy that made those. Seafire being back in. There's no AA yet, so he can actually provide some reconnaissance over here, which is going to be very crucial. The church, no, now it actually got the shot. I don't know about what. Did this thing kill it? Something just killed it. Either way, church is gone, so a lot of vision being taken away from Liszek over there. He might have wanted to put the sniper in there on return fire, I think. Now, this thing is actually a little bit risky early on. It's only 50 points, but I can definitely get bombed. And for the crucial support it can provide, it's not something that you want to lose. Oh, there we go. P51 killing the Sturmjäger there. So the air spam on ATF side has started. And we can definitely see the weakness of the Jäger here. Because for the town specifically, if you fight along a row of powers where you might run into something like an after or something like that, having 2 Jäger pushing is a good thing. But other than that, it is really lacking, as we can see. They really struggle to make run, especially something against something like a... Oh, AB Power. Hellcat's going to get on the back of the Focke-Wulf. It's going to overshoot, though. It's going to fail to turn. Jaapaasa manually turns it. And it's going to catch it up, I would think. There we go, gets a kill. Huge. Black 43 is now in. Yeah, this is definitely something you need to do against a division like this. If your opponent's division doesn't have AA, and you want to use your Air Force, you better bring your own AA, because your opponent's going to bring fighters. And since he passes air spamming as well, it's definitely reasonable to call in the AA. It has been unloaded a little bit too early. I think he was hoping to save his plane, which of course he couldn't. Now flying into the... Oh no, it's not turning. He could have probably turned for this and might have gotten a kill there. It's now not going to happen. Airstrike coming in, going after these guys. Yeah, these Hotchkiss are actually huge here. I'm not sure if Jaapaasa brings them in generally or just for this specific purpose. If so, that was a very well reading of his opponent's stack and a very good reaction to that. Because as we established, as soon as you add some suppression, the spread is actually going to be huge here. Because if they all land together, which they usually do, they're going to still do massive damage despite them being small bombs. But as soon as the Citroën adds a crucial bit of suppression, that's going to turn things around quite decisively. We do have Sturmjäger reinforcement for the town again. I have definitely been receiving some MP44 units on this map recently after the patch. And I can tell you they are dangerous now. They definitely don't feel good. But, oh, so Roy answered, yeah, Hotchkiss was a French company. It's pronounced like you did in English. No, Trump Piercings is the name of its founder, which was American. Ah, okay, interesting. Still a weird name, but not going to chat on that too much. Now, we're close to 30-11 again. But I think Liszek gets, yeah, I think Liszek gets bogged down into the town a little bit too much. It just fails to make a breakthrough. Now we do have the Stücks in. And oh, IG-33, which is going after the 50 cal, which did some crucial suppression over here. But reinforcing the form of Sturmjäger now, and if they can push through here, they are gonna slap hard. And if they manage to get, you know, if you manage to push slowly through here, where they can actually leverage their MP44, they are gonna be incredibly dangerous. Jaime Meal. Something says, so when are hotkeys so good at repelling planes for close to 0 damage, basically? They have been for quite a bit. I'm not remembering. I think there was some rework at some point of some of the machine guns. And I think got hit with that. But it's definitely not super new. You remember having played a game against ATF at some point a while ago where they already felt pretty decent. We've seen it in a few games on cast where we actually seen ATF being played, that they did decently well. Of course, we have to remember they are very close, right? So whenever the airstrikes came in, like they failed to stop a plane when they were sitting here that dropped these bombs. They just spread them quite a bit, and I think that's what really matters. HE-111 going after, I think this is a bit excessive since he has the IG-33, just ground attack this, and if it's there, you will kill it. If it is not there, you won't kill it with the plane either, basically. Hellcat's gonna get in. Is it gonna get on the back? Oh, it is. And gets the kill. There we go. 2 Flak 43s, but the Hellcat turned early enough, and it has medium resilience. I think it's going to get away. P-51 is now turning away as well. So, huge kill there by Jaapaasa. I mean, he's definitely thinning out the airspan quite a bit. We have reached C phase, and immediately an off-map drops. Yeah, I mean, what's surprising is he hadn't 70. It's a bit excessive for A phase. Even if that's your strong income, because it's usually not when you can realistically buy this, because you want to spend the first couple of minutes of A phase definitely building up a presence on the map and kind of pressuring. But you can definitely follow then up with an offer. This is exactly the right way to use it, and he's dropping it in just the right spot where you has a lot of things concentrated and more reinforcements are coming in. This is also where reinforcements happen to drive through. So that's actually very good there. Nebelwerfer now coming in as well. One of the 37 mils already been focused on by the 75 mil. The other one is still there, but Jaapaasa is now doing a wave. So he's giving Liszek the Koenig treatment. He's definitely watched Koenig doing his airstrikes. There we go, huge strike there. P-51. Maybe a little bit closer to Flak 43, which now actually changes target, so that's good. So yeah, they don't suppress planes, but make them spread loadout too wide. Well, I think this has always been a thing. I mean, generally speaking, as suppression builds up, the loadout is going to be spread out. So I think that has been like that for quite a while. But honestly, I haven't seen that many matchups where we had hotkeys versus planes with a lot of small bombs where this was really important. So I might be wrong. I don't actually know. 51, this has to be a new one. So he has 3 of those already. I think that's going to be hard to deal with, especially since he's lost one of the flags. He passed hard on his air micro. One of the hotkeys has died. No, both is in so far, but another 75 mil. Going immediately after the other flag 43. Oh, that's going to hurt. Is there a radio for it? I don't think there is. No. No, there is not. Flag 43 falling back. Another off-map charge being dropped. Not a really good follow-up so far by Liszek. So he got the off-map off, but he couldn't really follow up super well. Jaapaasa bringing a 6-pounder now to deal with the Stück. In a good position. But he could actually be pushed out of the town. So Liszek might have had success with building up forces and then pushing with the help of the off-map and the Nebelwerfer that's soon going to be arriving. However, we also need to keep in mind that Liszek has lost a large part of his air force. So still quite a lot of points were traded very well by Jaapaasa. And I do have a feeling, just looking at the map, Jaapaasa has easily outrated Liszek. I think there's no question there. And there we go. Both factors already going after the Stück. It's going to get the kill. It does. So that's a lot of the pressure here getting killed off. Flag filling is coming in. I think the Bowfighter might not survive that. Nebelwerfer is immediately going after 75 mil as well. Actually, it's not even smoking yet, so it's probably going to get out. Never mind, it's started now, but I think it's too late. It's going to get out. Yeah, there we go. Whereas there's not a lot of AA in 20th Jäger. He needs to be careful if he would have... I would have took the third slot with 20 mil against ATF. I got traumatized enough by Koenig with his plays. To be fair, Koenig is one of a kind when it comes to air spam. There's actually some other people who can do it as well, but not that many. There we go. Sturmjäger showing its full power. Cover difference is just casually ignored, and Jaapaasa is immediately wiped. MP44 really slaps hard these days. Muhammad is arriving, of course. They are, I think, the best answer here to the Shermans. Just super cost efficient and can easily do the trick. M8's, of course, going to be a bit of a problem for them, just because they can pen them. Nonetheless, the Marder can one-shot them, so it's that. 51 coming in again. We have two fly. Oh, now he's doing a Luna. We've seen that game recently. And he's immediately focused. This is the way you have to deal with it. Your opponent starts air spamming, you focus one plane at a time, and you slowly start grinding down the air force. And this can actually backfire now hard for Jaapaasa. He's invested a lot into the air force. And in the town, he can't use it anymore. So that's going to be a problem. Now, he can actually, I think Japan's best bet now is to just move to the flanks, push here, maybe even try to push here again, because there the air force is largely uncontested, and all of the AA and Liszek invested a lot into that, is all sitting in the center. So there's that. Postbill says Sturmjäger performance is further inflated by the channel's double vetting ratio. This is definitely true. This is definitely true. But let's be honest, I think if that was not there, it would still not be great. I think you lose like a quarter instead of usual half. Yeah, it's I don't remember what it is, but it's pretty good. Nebelwerfer has also been moved. Very nice move there. And Focke-Wulf is now getting in again, followed by the Focke-Wulf fighter. Both of them going after P51 now. He might actually lose that one. That's huge. And that will be another fighter down. I think Liszek should start running now, because eventually the Hellcat's going to come in, or the Seafire. That's going to change things quite drastically. Now the Seafire, oh no, it was running out of ammo, but it was still enough to kill the Focke-Wulf. That was the fighter bomber that Liszek could have used to air spam. So, ooh, that's rough. Tristel says you go from 8 to 6 with the double. Okay, so that's pretty good. Sturmjäger versus AV Paris up close, no questions. Easy kill. The 14 PR is getting dangerously close to that Marder. Should easily be able to kill that. And the Jagdpenny can't really do much. So I think the general theme of this division, of this game, is really air fighting, as Kerb just said, with the lovely air fights. Because on the ground we do have just a bit of a stomp in the infantry when it comes to the infantry matchup. And then we have, of course, off-map and RT. Which I think is pretty... I think that one is excessive now. I think more infantry would be needed to hold the town as it is. Liszek might not realize just how much pressure Jaapaasa has built up here. At the same time, if Liszek can actually stop the push for a while and make sure that things get more stationary, his artillery, especially the Nebel, can be really deadly and can win him a lot of fights, or like can just outrate and outgrind Jaapaasa slowly. This would be absolutely crucial. But again, he has lost a lot of his air force, which is absolutely crucial there. Flak filling, oh yeah, needs to run. Losing this would have been, I think, the end of it, really. He still has 2 AA pieces, but they will eventually get killed by the 75mm. Jaapaasa still has a large air force, and then it's goodbye for Liszek. So he needs to keep those alive. As long as he can do that, he still has a chance of fighting over this, because then again, he can still use his big arty and he can prevent Jaapaasa's air spam in return. Jaapaasa doesn't really have the artillery so far to really deal with that. Now, next problem that's going to arrive is the stewards. I'm not really sure if Liszek is up for that. For the task here, he does have one Marder and he has some Stücks, so they can definitely do well here. The problem with the Stücks, of course, is that, you know, they can get side shot, they need to turn, so the stewards are still dangerous in the town. Actually, for the tanks, not just for the infantry. Marder moving up, he doesn't really know what's the idea here. We need to be careful. Horseman BR is working against the Panzerjäger, which can actually defend itself, and is doing so. Actually successfully, wow. Nice move there, but it doesn't affect the front line, so it pushing won't surrender the Horseman BR. More Jäger come in, Jäger Fusilier now coming in. I don't remember what those are. It's a recon for sure, but is it... Is it actually... I think this might actually be... it's either a proper infantry squad or it's an MP44 unit. I don't actually remember. Never mind. It's basically just a Jäger, but the recon version of it. Okay. I was... none of the two options were correct. Wow. That's bad. Nebelwerfer has been targeted, has been set on return fire so that it doesn't shoot prematurely. But, you know, that would be a very good target if it just releases it. The 150 is being put to good use as one of the 75mm is dead. The other one could still die as well. Another 75mm howitzer. Maybe that's a bit far of a distance. Going after a flak feeling spread is quite large. So there we go. Marder goes down to the steward. That's of course one of the issues here because the steward can realistically hand that Marder. It's going to lose against the IG-33. Flak feeling's been targeted and one shell was already landing super close. Nebelwerfer has been retargeted to even better cover the area. So if this one is going to get released now, finally, I really hope he does it. I think that's going to hurt quite a bit. 12, but Jaapaasa actually lost a lot. So this just single grab here, as long as Jaapaasa can't get to 59 himself, can actually prove to be quite deciding over here. And, oh, look at that. We're going to see some units wiped. Boom. Jaapaasa not fast enough on the micro, not falling them back, but one of them gets killed despite falling back. Two more get killed. And the last one's not going to kill anything anymore. But still, what was that? 4 units, I think, wiped here. So, that sounds good enough to me. No complaints there. Strafing going on by the A8, but the Force and BR are falling back. The problem is, so far, Jaapaasa is still way stronger positioned on the map as a whole. Yeah, I was going to say, he's not going to catch up. He's calling the P-51 and the Hellcat back in time, so Jaapaasa is definitely playing it the smart way here. Ooh, IG-33 gets killed. Nebelwerfer is being targeted but immediately moved. Might be a little bit too late. The problem is this thing is actually quite large of a spread, so it might accidentally hit it. But no, it's retargeting the Flak 43, which is where it now has a radio full, I think provided by the Sherman leader. No, it wasn't that one. Or the M8. It was. A immediately being moved. So Liszek doing a good job on the micro there, just keeping his AA going all the time. Okul is just circling there. On the ready. As both is up north now. I guess Jaapaasa was afraid of this thing being attacked again. It also means that up here he can operate relatively safely with planes probably. So again, that would mean that this is maybe a place to push for Jaapaasa. Jaapaasa has decided though that the town is the way to grind this out. The problem is if he just holds this push now, all his forces are just slowly going to get eaten alive by the Nebelwerfer. So I think Jaapaasa doesn't really have the choice at the moment to just accept having regained partial control over the town and just go with another flanking push. The other crucial part is Jaapaasa is actually not having he's not gotten any flag advantages at any time now. So that is really bad. And he's lost the income advantage now. So he can't just easily build up another push, which is what would have really helped him. Now, I do believe that he can still do quite a bit of pressure, but he would need to start using his air force properly. Meaning, he has to fight the bombers, and he's used them so far to try and catch things, and then cold them off again, instead of using them to bomb something. Like, just bring the Seafire somewhere over here, bomb some targets to make pressure, and if no reaction is coming, you can push in. I think this is what Jaapaasa needs to do with his air force right now. At the moment, it's sitting there idle, unless he's building up, which is not a good thing. I wonder why Liszek isn't pushing the north on one level strike on the flag first and then push with regular Jager's free flag. Yeah, but the problem is he needs more units for that. Nebel strike here, you know, Jaapaasa can have his units spread out here, which it doesn't too much. But the other thing is Nebel is over here. So at this distance, this is not the best strike. And he's being pressured in town, right? So I think at the moment, Liszek is doing a great job of using this in the right spot, which is the town. You don't want to use this up here now, while you might lose the town. Now, as it is now, things have equaled out in the town. So now he could maybe go for it. But before that, that was really not an option, I would argue. Here says Liszek's doing well, all things considered. Yes, I would agree. I think Jaapaasa really I think he really screwed up. He really lost his momentum here. I don't really know. I can't pin it down to anything specifically. I don't really know what happened. There we go. Nebel Strife going after 105, which is currently stopping his push in the town here. If Liszek wants to push further here, this thing with the 2K will become a problem. The problem is at this distance, it might not kill. It could, but it also might not. That looks like a direct hit. No. And there we go. It survives. So... yeah, that's that. But yeah, I think Jaapaasa really kind of screwed up losing his momentum over here, and I think he also screwed up by not actually pushing anywhere else. It's at the moment just a big grind over here, which I think is where 28 really has the advantage. We talked about that when we looked at the divisions, right? That as soon as the Nebel start coming in, the town, just getting into a grinding town fight is really bad, because you are going to lose that. The off maps and the Nebels are gonna make sure of that. So this is where I can see some issue for Jaapaasa. And where it's not really going to get better. Now, if he can turn the ground fight, town grind into another big push for him, that's a different story, because the Nebelwerfer just can't keep up. I think that's how it can work. Just as he can move it, range isn't a problem, move it up, fire, move it back to the center of the spread is a solid factor, though. Didn't think about that. Well, you can move it, yes. The problem with moving it, however, is it's going to take a while. This is not the fastest transport. And you probably have to go back. You don't want to move through here, I would argue, because, you know, it's going to be seen. A plane could come. So you have to... it just takes a lot of time where you can just use it effectively where you have it right now. I mean, generally speaking, I like the idea, because a lot of players don't think of moving some of their assets. You see this very often. Not necessarily with Division 1 players. They rarely... they usually shift their units if they're not needed in one area. But it is definitely something that we don't see or don't see often enough, let's put it at that. Jaapaasa has actually done an airstrike up north. I don't really know what happened. Maybe there was like a push coming this way or something like that. But it definitely looks... yeah, this flag looks grabbable for him, especially with the Air Force. Same thing for down south, by the way. Hellcat is just there on the ready now, so that I can immediately react to any pushes. Jaapaasa stabilized again. Now, as we said... things can really go two ways here. If Jaapaasa can manage to turn things into mobile warfare again, it is very much in his favor. If he fails to do so, it's very much in Liszek's favor, because Liszek has the Arctic ground on his side. We do see 75mm up north, and I'm not really sure where Jaapaasa intends to use that. He could, you know, just select this area, put it on defensive fire, and then eventually get a push going. I think that would definitely be option there. Focke-Wulf versus Hellcat. Neither of them is going to kill the other up front. Oh, but yeah, with the help of these, of course, that's a different story. Not really sure why Jaapaasa committed that. He knows about the AA, so that's a very interesting call. I'm not really sure what the idea there was. IG-33 dead. The other one being pinned is now recovering though. As long as the M10 can just outrange it with the HE shells, it should probably be fine. It can just repin it and then go after it. Oh, Stuck dying here. More of those die. That could be a problem. Pack 40 up close. That is another thing that is not ideal. AB Power will eat that for breakfast. The fact that we see them called in so close is not a good sign to me. So something is not going well. Probably struggling against the M10. It doesn't really want to risk his Stuck. And now it's getting stuck in the AB Power. So a lot of value being thrown away over here. 105 is targeted again. So see, this is kind of where you have to be very smart with your Nebelwerfer strikes once you have them. Now, of course, ammo is not that much of a limited resource with just one of them. There we go. It finally goes down. Because he can bring more. He doesn't have that much artillery, so another piece of ammo is really affordable. Oh, there we go. Pack 40 did go down. And Jaapaasa on the third land with grabbing this flag, by the way. But what I was going to say is that, you know, he probably could have gotten more effect by just pressuring the town with that. Pushing forward here with the Stuck, then finishing that off. Stuck at the distance could have definitely done that. I think, you know, if he was worried about the M10, the Nebelwerfer would have been just the right tool for that at this range. So this is how I think it could have been used better. So this is where I definitely see some mistakes being made there. But, you know, it kind of worked out. Artillery is back at going after the Nebel. Yeah, I think the same thing is true for Jaapaasa though. These things are great in radio range. Jaapaasa could just, like, he could have softened this whole town area up with the 75 mils. Oh, huge kill there on the Stuck 3. I think the 6-pounder might have done that. That's a huge kill. Because once the armor is gone, with the Shermans in here, the stewards, even the 50 cal off the M10, I think things look quite a bit different over here. Jaapaasa being back to third level, but he really needs to open up a new front line, which he is about to do with Forceman down south. So there's that. Liszek all of a sudden not looking very good in the town anymore. He's brought more ammo for the Nebelwerfer, which is now falling back, but still not super damaged. So I think things not looking too bad there for Liszek, and he just continues the town grind. And again, as long as he can make sure, like, even if he's down this flag for now, he has definitely some tickets to spare that he can lose. And as long as he can just stall Jaapaasa enough for him to outgrind him with his artillery, that's good. That's all that he needs to do. Panzerjäger now coming in, definitely a reasonable choice there. This is going to be a large issue. I'm surprised the sniper is not being unloaded the whole time. I guess that was intended to go over here, or maybe over here, but it's not done so. Pack 40 in a nice position here, actually, where he could cut off the open, but it has not moved up far enough. 30 minutes time grad, yeah. Yeah, this is what we see over here. Assault group pushing in. Liszek falling back. Yeah, he might get pushed out of the town now. Nebelwerfer is reloading those. So once that's reloaded, I think it's going to hurt quite a bit and could really save the day here for Liszek. Oh, 6-pounder. Bounce, so it's probably not going to survive that. It's going to get another shot off, which it misses. M10, arranging the Stu 42. Stu 42 does not seem to spot it. The Stück could definitely react. Stu 42 bounces, that's huge for Liszek. He really needs that alive. More reinforcements for the town coming in. Panzerjäger moving in, 2 of them. That's maybe a little bit excessive against the regular forcemen, especially because those have the TNT. Is it still in range for the... No, but he gets killed by the Stück anyway. AA fire support, I guess that's one way of doing it. Third line for Jaapaasa still, but again, Liszek doesn't... This can be fine for Liszek, as long as he can use the Nebelwerfer again. Like, there's a target-rich environment right there. All he needs to do is use that. Oh, Sharpshooter is finally being moved. Gonna get into a nice position over here. I'm not really sure if he used that for sniping or just for spawning. I actually would prefer to be on return fire, which he just turned on right now. So yeah, he could snipe this, but then the tanks will probably start shooting at it as it reveals itself. These might not die, and there's that. Nebelwerfer, when we target the M10. I can see that this is in a threatening position, but again, I think that not losing town is probably more important. Also, this is where it's grouped up, so I think this is where ultimately can do more damage. Now, of course, we are in the, you know, God mode. If we actually check the vision, he doesn't know how much there's here. But, you know, it's generally speaking a safe guess, so you always have to keep that in mind. I just kind of caught myself doing that again. It's easy to say, oh, you just need to strike there, but if you don't know, now he knows. Now he could retarget, but now he's going after the M10. On the other side, Jaapaasa also is not really... Both players really lack vision. Completely. He knows that Yay is somewhere here, but that's about it. Which is still alive, by the way. U42 up close. Turns out to be great support group. We don't see that very often, but I mean, it does damage. And, you know, up close you can use the heat shell, which the accuracy is not great, but not terrible either. Considering that it does 10 damage and one taps a tank. That is not a heavy tank. Also 100mm of pen. Can't really complain about that. Oh, units getting sniped in transport there, but I mean that's probably due to how big the spread of the... Yeah, look at that. Nebelwerfer being reloaded at 150 is being put to counter battery. 30 for Jaapaasa still. And is now making a fresh push down south. Where he's bringing a regular forceman though, so against the Sturmjäger they should easily win. Against the Pioneer they should still win, all things considered. But the Jäger Pioneer might be able to at least pin it. Panzerjäger might actually be useful here now, with the M8 rushing in. Or not rushing, but at least being called in there. Cheap, not so useful so far. Chasseur could definitely help you with the push as well. But not useless. Let's make sure that we can also see what's happening on the rest of the map. Now, worth it being disrupted again. Horseman, yeah, it still wins. Wow. Didn't even fully pin it. If this one runs into Sturmjäger though, that could get surrounded now. It does not. This one runs into Sturmjäger, which looks like what's going to happen. Horseman will win. There we go. No? No. Let's see how much damage actually. I want to see that. Still a good amount. But now the TNT is thrown. And there we go. It's gonna, yeah, that's gonna be a flag. It's actually gonna, yeah, this thing does not affect the front line, so it's gonna let Jaapaasa know there's really not that much over here. Oh, almost grabbing the flag. Flame is barely preventing that. But this is a very clear sign of what's here and what's not here. It also clearly shows him where things are, like here and here. There we go. Just moving in, get more flags. The flame might actually get spotted here by the M8. That would let Jaapaasa know there's really nothing here. Forceman pushing here could extend that. I could move in and kill the Panzerjäger. If not, he's going to lose the M8. Reinforcement and force of Jäger coming in, though. Did I see a Sturmjäger or not? No, just 2 Jäger. That's not a good reply there. Sturmjäger here could definitely make a difference. A Jäger here, not so much. Still going to be useful, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be to the same extent. So Jaapaasa's finally opened up a new front, which he really needs to do. Otherwise, I think he would have slowly gotten outgrinded here. And we can see that here with, you know, Liszek actually pushing back in. But he's, oh, 15-9 is being stopped. 14-10 now. Another pack 40 wasted here. Yeah, I think he had that just way too close and David Parasrak just picked him off. I think that was a major mistake there. Something just died here. Oh, the Panzer got a kill on the M8. It's now going to get killed by the Forceman, though. Moving in a nice position where it can force the Forceman to actually move in. But, nope. Not far enough. It's still gonna die. It would have died regardless. Just made a little bit of a difference. And, oh, Bela on the Stu 42. After mentioned by the M10. That's huge. And why is it not? Is it just barely out of range? I think, no, it doesn't look like it. Can you really not see that? Hold on. Oh, you cannot see that. Yeah, true. There's nothing for it to spot there. Interesting. Let's hide that again. I think I had this on the whole time. That was not very nice of me. Not very professional, at least. Soul Group being in. I mean, it's hybrid enough. Out in the open, though, MG42 of the Jäger is still good enough. That's all you need. Horseman, though, here proving to be a little bit of an issue. Not a Nebel Strike going after the M10 again. I can see why. And now there's actually not that much here, so not really that much to complain about by me. Oh, there we go. Jaapaasa's using the P51s now. See, this is what I meant. All the A is over here. You can just use the A here and push 14-10 for him. More reinforcements are coming in. So here, bullying some Sturmjäger. Forcemen are helping. No Forcemen BR, no Bazooka. Stück 3 can definitely do a lot of damage here. Just as, would it be worth to use the Opel Blitz ammo to repair the Stu 42, or is it not worth it to waste the supply since Stu is one shot? Honestly, I think that goes either way. How much supplies do you need to repair? Because this I don't know. Because I mean, so I would argue if you can keep the Nebel firing, that is probably worth more than sending it over here. However, if you have it spare anyway, it can be worth it. Because I mean, that thing can have a big impact here. As long as infantry can't really get past, this thing just deletes infantry. And despite being one shot, it can still, like, against a Sherman, for example, this thing can still do well. Because the Sherman won't necessarily pin it right away, and this thing can pin the Sherman right away. So I would argue it's not necessarily a bad call. But I think if you have the Nebel still going, oh, which took just a big hit, it's 1 health. Might actually die. That'd be huge for Jaapaasa, who has the 15-9 now. But I think he's looking like he has invested a lot into here, which is why he is on the 59 at the moment. But in the time, it's actually not looking very good for him now. So, no, Liszek can actually turn this around. I think this can flip here. Forceman dying to the Jäger Pioneer. There we go, 14-10. Quite considerable swing here of the front line, at least for it being in the town. And, you know, these 2 flags are all of a sudden relatively grabbable, more reinforcements pouring in there. So as long as, yeah, no, I think Liszek can just ignore this now and go hard in the town. We're about to equal out, so that means Liszek will need another lead, and he doesn't really have any assets to push this other than the Nebelwerf at the moment. So that's going to be a bit of an issue. Now this thing can definitely soften things up as well. It's going on counter battery currently. There's not that many artillery pieces left for Jaapaasa. Oh, and I think one of the Forcemen was unloaded by one of the shells here. It's not ideal either. There we go. M10 goes down. Stu 42 up close, being absolutely dominating. Jäger now moving in. The AB party is weak. These guys are all concentrated in one area. No bazooka. So any armor there would definitely be good. M10 is moving back into position. So this is, again, kind of complicated. We're going to get to the point where it's definitely not worth sending this in. But, you know, it could be later on. Assault Group versus Jägerpanny. Jägerpanny is a good matchup for this. Jägerpanny should get rained off and kill that, or at least pin it far enough. This is going to be more of a problem, the Forceman again. And then, of course, the M8. He needs to be very careful. It gets a little bit too close since he doesn't know if there's Forceman BR over here, which is not, but you don't know. You don't know that. I definitely think that Liszek should start putting something over here to protect his artillery or move it away. Because, you know, any tank up here, and he can say goodbye to some of your artillery pieces. This does not have AT. It's not an SK-18. Well, there we go. Forceman got pushed off. Another Forceman being pressured away there. It's, damn. Nice to see the Stu's used as intended to support infantry push. Yeah, we don't see it very often. We see them usually as 2K tool, which are actually not used as here. Stück versus M10. M10 has fast rate of fire, but the slow turret's traverse speed, which really came to punish him here. And they trade, which honestly, I think favors, yeah, should favor Liszek since he has actually armor here, whereas Jaapaasa now does not. But he needs to be careful with the Stu not to lose it to the Forceman BR. The armor here is currently doing a lot of the heavy lifting in town. Although the infantry is pushing nicely, Nebel is now being put up against. Oh, he didn't put it on return fire this time, wasting a lot of ammo. There we go. Now he's retrieving the Stu 42, having noticed that. Oh wait, did his AA die? How did I not notice that? His AA died. He's huge. So all of a sudden, Jaapaasa can use the Air Force in the center again. So Liszek's whole push might actually be in danger now. There we go. P-51's come right in. Oh no. Liszek basically had the game, I think, because his pusher was really paying off super well. I think was getting a lot of momentum back, but all of a sudden, with the loss of his AA, not so sure if he can still do it actually. Although time is running short, Jaapaasa's still on the lead, so maybe the Air Force can't, you know, there's a lot of things in the town, maybe the Air Force can't save Jaapaasa in time. It's not as decided as I thought it would. First I thought Jaapaasa easily had this, now all of a sudden it looks like, you know, Liszek's had this, and now it's very unsure again. Although Forceman being pushed off here and the assault group probably dying to the Jägerpanny, although it reloads faster, that could change things around here. That's maybe a flag that Liszek could re-grab. Although he's lost a lot here, so that is definitely not going to happen anymore. Forceman pushing in the open here, probably killing the Jägerschaft, so would take away a lot of vision here. Forceman BR up close, still actually doing quite well against Jäger. Oh, damn. Kerb says Jaapaasa must be out of inf buying only Sherman in the town. Well, there comes 2 Forcemen, but I think you're right. Not completely out, but probably low. I think that's probably true. Maybe Paris now moved in to re-grab this flag. Still, Jaapaasa needs to make sure he doesn't lose any more flags. It's very close now, so this is anyone's game at this point. Technically, I think Liszek should have the advantage. He can realistically really push to grab this one. Jaapaasa is out of options to push over here. I think Jaapaasa's best bet would actually really be to go after this now, but he's for some reason still focusing on the town. Liszek has a lot of forces, so Jaapaasa can't as easily get value. Oh, another flag filling coming in. That could kill the P... No, it's probably gonna kill the P-51. And then Jaapaasa's gonna lose that crucial air support. Nope, it gets out because this thing is on the move. Wow. But the line for Liszek again is he doesn't need to keep this going for long. Stu 42 and Stück, once they spot the Sherman, which they do. Oh, Stu 42 dies. That's huge. Oh, Stück might get a side shot on it though. Doesn't really matter that much though. Jaapaasa's actually moving it away. Oh no. But he's not moving it that way. He's moving it up here, so he's actually showing back armor and still being in line of sight. It's now pushing for the Jäger. Yeah, he needs to push that Jäger off. He needs to push that Jäger off and get that flag back. He needs 12-12 again. Then he needs to find another way to push. Panzerjäger here, if that kills the student over there, it's going to be that flag flipped. Not looking very good for Jaapaasa all of a sudden. The ammo, the RT is running out of ammo though on this side. Horseman pushing in. Should be able to deal with what's there. He regrabbed the flag. He's still in the lead, but so close. Oh, if he has anything that can regrab this flag, though, that could turn things around again. Flag filling is really close to the Stück 3, so what's also not really an option here is the Beaufighter coming in and killing that off. That's not going to happen here. 6 pound, if he gets in and kill the Stück, that would be huge, but then Jaapaasa still needs to put something in here. That could actually save him here. He still has the lead. He needs something in here. It doesn't matter how cheap it is, as long as he can hold the front line. Horseman actually still holding this flag 1311, nonetheless, as this flag is being lost again. So Horseman is being pushed off. I don't know about what. Oh, 1311 for Jaapaasa now. How did that happen? Hold on, what's happening? Oh, he's regrabbed this one. And that one with the Sherman. Wow. As the leader is being pushed up. This is, wow. Look at that. Look at that. How close is that? That's a crazy game. I'm really glad, I have to admit, that I'm live casting this because I don't have to think of a title for this. I absolutely hate doing the titles. I'm really bad at it. And a game like this is like, how do you decide what's a fitting title? There's so many things happening here that would be really interesting. We went for a great air game to a town grind to an incredibly close game that is really open. Oh, there we go. Forceman finally died. Jäger and Panzerjäger is still alive, but another Forceman is coming in. Yeah, Jaapaasa needs to react. It's 14-10 for Liszek now once again. So flag feeling pushes and grabs his flag. I mean, we're so close to the end. At this point, all you need to do is really make sure that you get flags. Trades matter less at this point as long as you get the flag. Stück here dying though. Sherman regrabbing this flag 12-12. Jaapaasa still barely in the lead. Wow. I mean, what is that? Beaufighter going down. Doesn't really matter anymore. It would not have reloaded in time probably anyway. This flag needs to be grabbed by Jaapaasa if he wants to have a comfortable win. Jaapaasa cannot afford to be on a 13-11 for Liszek and 12-12 again and again and again, because eventually it's going to get ticked down. So the 13-11 for Jaapaasa actually is huge. Flag feeling still holding this flag. If he gets close enough, he might actually wipe the 6-pounder. The 6-pounder needs some time to just aim. Or the APCR would actually be a problem here, because no. He's moving it to line of sight of the flag feeling. He needs to turn first. And then he will shoot an APCR shot, which is probably not going to kill the flag feeling. You can't tell me the flag feeling is not seeing that. No way. No way is it not spotting that. He doesn't. Oh, he kills in one shot. Well, maybe it was damaged before, or maybe they died to one-shot APCR. Damn. 14-10 for Jaapaasa. And Liszek surrenders. Wow, what a game. 47 minutes, and it only ever got better. I mean, wow. And the trade's not that massive. About 200 points only. That's not a whole lot. And I don't know. I really think if Jaapaasa hadn't killed those AA pieces, and I really need to check now how this happened. If he hadn't killed those AA pieces in the town, I think he would have lost that. His Air Force saved the day there quite a bit. And in the center, and I think if he couldn't have used it for that, I think Liszek would have won that. I really think that was really the final nail in the coffin for Liszek. If it wasn't for that, would have been it. Maybe as if Liszek's deck was slightly deeper, he would have won. Yeah, true. This is the same. Curb asked for a post-game interview. I will ask them. Once they're finished, I have to match and they play game 2 as well. I've not heard any conflicting information, but I definitely asked them for an interview after the match is done. I definitely think that is in order here, so we can do that if they are up to it. Again, I have not really thought of that beforehand, so I don't have any good questions ready. I still really need to start thinking about what are good questions to ask after the game, but I will do that, promise you. You can also, if you get to it, you can also write your questions in the chat. I think that's also a cool thing that we could do. Roy says Liszek was way too aggressive with AA drugs. Yeah, I think he used them very well for the whole time, and then not anymore. So there's that. But yeah, look at that. And I mean, Liszek got good traits initially. Like in the open, he did very well. In the first 5 minutes, and the opponent kind of came back. Then we had some of the air losses, which were, I think, really bad. But then with the off map, he came around again. Then Nebelworth has just started adding up, but Jaapaasa had his airstrikes and definitely a bit of an armor advantage for a while. And then for somehow, I think Jaapaasa really, other than him killing the AA, Jaapaasa opening up another front was really what won him the game. Or what at least made it even possible in the first place. Because I really do believe if he would have continued to town grind, he would have 100% lost it. He had no chance of winning that in the town grind. Because Liszek was better set up for that. Liszek would have won the town grind easily. And it still did eventually, right? But opening up the new front line was really the crucial call here by Jaapaasa. Let's see if game 2 is happening as well. I really have to imagine. But let's see. Give me a second. All right, I asked. Let's see what the answer is. But usually people play all or at least 2 of their games in succession. So I would be surprised if this wasn't the case. So in the meantime, let's oh no, we can't. Yeah, no, since it's the first game, they haven't uploaded any replays, of course. We can't check out the decks actually. We can look into that one. Taki is playing against someone else. I think it's also a Jaapaasa, yes. Against who is that? Let me open up the challenge real quick so that I can double check. We can speed up the full deployment. Taki is Division 3 out, I think. No, he's Division 4. Okay, interesting. Would have expected him to be Division 3, honestly. He would be playing against Sturm, so this is why Sturm said that the matchup's gonna happen. These are honestly the 2 best players I think in that division, if I'm not mistaken. We have Panzerloli and Jäger. Actually, Jäger is pretty good as well. So I might be wrong. So Siano, I don't know why this map comes up so often. It kind of annoys me because it's such a bad map. Then again, you know, we get to see a map. Yeah, see, this is the general classic move that this guy, Sturm is doing. And I'm surprised it's still working, because at some point, people should have figured out that this is his classic opener. Also, that this is the division he's always doing this with. So I'm really surprised. Guys, if you have an opponent that you don't know, it is really worth checking the replay files, not to see how he's playing. You don't need to rewatch the tournaments, but at least check out what division he's playing. It's really worth banning those then. And there we go, the push is going to come. And the question is Taki still aware of it, and is he going to be able? Oh, he's doing that trick. That's going to hurt. It's not going to kill them out, though. Black 43. No, don't wait for that. Oh, he lost line of sight or something like that? Oh, it's been retargeted. 14-10 now. Taki's on the bad side, we have to say that too. So this is not the good side to be on. That's definitely not in Taki's favor, because these 2 flags are basically, he's kind of bound to lose. And he's lost this one too now. So not looking very good. The glide runs though, you need to open up with here. And should win this here, so... Well, the MG42 in the Church Tower though is definitely a little bit of a game changer over here. So that could potentially be an issue. Pack 40 being caught out is also huge. Not looking very good for him. I kind of have to move the task here. No, your pass did not write anything about the game yet, so something else that I wrote. Good. So yeah, MG42 here needs to be dealt with. If that can be done, I think this should open up new options there. 120 now coming in. A little bit too close for my personal liking, but there's that. But yeah, guys, as I said, by the way, check what your opponents are playing if you play tournament games and you don't know the end. If they have played in tournaments before, check those divisions out and ban them. I'm actually okay. I'm gonna be fully honest here because you might question this. So I really dislike this strategy. So I'm a little bit annoyed by the fact that it still works because everyone is. So this is why I'm also reacting this way. Okay, I don't like the strategy. I'm gonna be straight honest here. I'm rooting for Taki because of it, but I'm still annoyed by the fact that it still works because it really shouldn't work if you know that it's coming, but somehow no one knows it. But yeah, again, even if you don't know that your opponent's doing these kind of plays, it is well worth checking out what they play and ban those division. Just in general. So this is why I'm a bit surprised that he still gets to play fourth. Balchimiaga seems to be a very common pick for him. Now, he's not a bad player otherwise. We have to say that. Oh, Barasalda's going to wipe out the big Lycran here. Yeah, MG42 did a good job here at stopping these because these together could have probably overwhelmed the Barasalda. Now it's going to win, probably. And that's that town secured for the time being. This thing moving up. Ooh, we don't see it. To 40 is going to be a bit of a problem for the Stück. Because he can definitely pen it. Roy, I won't say what I think about the strategy. I don't think any less of it. But I don't think any less of it. Well, to be honest, I don't mind being very upfront and vocal about this because, you know, at the end of the day, if you want to listen to what I say or not is absolutely up to you. But just because I'm doing content, I don't mind. I'm not gonna not say what I'm thinking about it. But either way, someone asked your thoughts about last patch. You mean the latest balancing patch? Actually, I don't. I think it's a good one. It's not that many changes, but CL actually got a bit more playable. It was really in the bad spot before, because even the things it was strong at, it was just too expensive to really do that well. And now it's actually a little bit more affordable. Its weaknesses are still there. It's just the thing that it's supposed to do well, it can now do well again. So it's that. What else was Sturmpio availability changes for those divisions that still didn't get it, so that's also good. I don't know what else there was. So generally, I was very happy with it. Ultimately, Curb says, to be honest, it's not a great strat, even if the recipient hasn't an EA in the opener. It's so expensive to buy a Fight Bomber in the opener. Yes, I 100% agree. I absolutely agree. However, it still works a lot because I think players just don't know how to react to it. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. It really shouldn't work super well, but since it often comes unexpected to you, I think, and again, a lot of players are not super professional with it because it's not done very often. I think most players just don't know how to react to this, really. There we go. Focke-Wulf goes down. It's a good kill for Taki. They have 37 mil coming in, but so far, Taki has not actually brought in any air force, so it's not horrible. So it's actually good for him, I think, because that means that Sturm is not using his points on anything else. Ship falling back. The 47 mil is marked now. I'm surprised we have not seen any artillery on Taki's side yet. But yeah, I mean, we also have to say, Taki is really in a rough spot. Again, this is the bad side of the map. It's so easy to get in here. Now, Taki made a big mistake by not putting anything in here. Now the Parasalda managed to just get in there and grab the flag. So usually you want to put something here just so that your opponent can't do that. Because, like, if the front line swings back far enough, even if it doesn't reach the flag, your opponent will know there's nothing there, and he will do that. Especially if he like takes this or this, because often enough you can just try and drive something in there. And then you have to react and you're on the back foot. So there's that. 120. If it's that close, very deadly. And he's also continuing to move it always, so that's very good on that side. G42 still. Oh, Stück M42 gets a kill on the Stück 3. It's definitely not ideal. Pack 40 coming in. Yeah, and I mean, Sturm is super weak here. I think part of Taki's problem is that he's just too defensively deployed, so he can't actually take advantage of the opener. Because usually, if you see that opener, what you can do is your opponent has to be weak somewhere. It's just not possible for him to not be weak somewhere because it's such a big investment, as Kurt pointed out correctly. So you can just try and push in the other positions. However, because Taki was deployed defensively, you can really react to this. This is when this is when the opener really works super well. This is every time you deploy super defensively, you can't react to this in a way that you should be able to. And then all of a sudden things are not going to go very well for you. So this is when this opener works most often. A lot of big light panel coming in. I mean, they're hybrid, so it's not too bad, but the Stug is going to be a bit of a problem. Mard is a good reaction to that. Last one coming in for the open. Just as Russell is extremely efficient with his opening because you get a recon bomber with 4 10-kilogram bombs for 85 points, ideal for this kind of cheese. Kinda, yeah. The problem is, so this one is, it's more efficient, but is also problematic because you're going to lose that lane. If your opponent has any AA, you're going to lose that lane. And it is also just problematic in other ways because like you can lose it in the deployment already, and it's super slow. So I think the best spot are something like Chios, but they're too slow. The one Focke-Wulf bomber is the best because it's a bit cheaper. It's also low resilience, just like the one in Rösselsprung, but at least it's also a bit cheaper. I think that's probably the best at these, to be honest. Oh no, huge surrender here and really nice use of the 120s. 2 of them are in now. Tak is whole push hitting force back. I don't think Tak is going to win that, honestly. I just don't see how he's going to do that. And he couldn't build up any momentum. And now as things get stale, yeah, he couldn't build up any momentum after the opener, and now things get stale, and now Sturm is ready without surrender. There we go, he surrenders. Yeah. In terms of trades, not massive, but considering how short the game was, it still makes quite a difference. So there's that. Jaapaasa says, Kostritza's the next map. Jaapaasa on the Russell, Liszek went allies and is thinking. Russell, Vanguard was 101st Maverick. I don't think it's going to end up well for 101st, to be honest. Russell is incredibly powerful on maps like that. Now, 101st has something going for it. It's not the infantry in this matchup. Because you're paying, well, it might pay off if Jaapaasa using a lot of the light armor, because 101st, we can take a look at it, has good tools to deal with that. But you're still paying a lot of, a huge up price, which is 5 points for bazookas on a lot of units, which are against the infantry of Russell, not going to do all that much. And since the infantry is winning, Jaapaasa doesn't need that much light armor to support this infantry. That's kind of where it goes. But this thing is going to be a bit of a problem, especially if the rated trade. This thing, of course, the rated trade AT guns as well, obviously. And then the huge thing here is the Air Force. So Russell, famously, doesn't handle air spams super well. 101st famously has a ton of that. So this is where I can see a lot of issues coming up for Jaapaasa. But when it comes to the infantry matchup, this is okay-ish, but it's probably not good enough. This is good, but you have limited amount of it, and that's the secrecy that you have. 2 of those. Double that's going to be tricky. 1 card of these with 3 men. Now, of course, no. M1s are still M1s, so... And, well, not those, but... Hold on, where are they? Glider rifles, there we go. These guys, relatively, you know, they can still fight in the forest, but you pass on some of these units as well, so it kind of goes both ways. But the M1's definitely going to be adding up here. So it's not horrible, but I don't think it's a great matchup, really. I just don't think that works super well. Chris says if 101st managed to kill off the 2 flak feelings of Russell, it's basically over for Russell, the Air Force one, so we just win the game. So, yes and no. In principle, yes, you're right. But the reason why I'm not 100% convinced is the problem is Russell has a lot of pressure. And if you start air spamming immediately with this, once you get those flak feeling killed, you're going to lose the ground. So there's a balance there. I'm not saying that this means you're not right. It just means that it is really depends kind of situation. It really depends on how far Russell could go before that point. Because again, Russell will have an immense amount of pressure in any area where the infantry can really do the work. Shermans can be good versus Russell, but having new swords and beyond sucks. Yeah, Shermans are going to be huge here because the light armor from Russell can't really deal with those. With the suits, he can actually deal, but still, yeah, I think having them in A would already be very, very helpful, which is not the case here. But again, this thing can do a lot of work. And so do the support weapons, right? But still, this is very dangerous. I personally, I might be wrong, but I would not consider Hunter first a counter pick to Russell. It's a pick that can work. I wouldn't say it doesn't work, but I wouldn't say as a default it is a good counter. But I don't know what the other options were. Maybe didn't expect Russell, and this is why I picked allies. Maybe also all the other good Axis TKC divisions were banned. That's also an option, because the Axis is quite good now at TKC. Like there's quite a few divisions on Costa Rica specifically you don't want to play against. Russell being one of them, really. So there's that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting either way. I think that much can be said safely. Let's look at the division real quick. So you have the Pathfinders, which are whatever. You have some snipers, of course. You have the Filthy 13, which is really good. No complaints about this unit. It does a ton of damage. It has a bazooka, it has a TNT, 25 points only, but it's only one unit. So and double that really helps here as well. So it's only one unit, but really that one unit can sometimes make you feel like 5 or something like that, or 3, whatever. More than one at least, because this thing can really do a lot of the heavy lifting, and since it is recon, it can just pop up somewhere. I didn't expect it because you didn't pay attention, or somehow you managed to sneak through the front line. That's actually where I can see this thing doing a lot of damage in this game, since it's Costa Rica, which is a map where it's notoriously easy to sneak bazookas through. So it's really annoying to prevent that. It's not that easy actually. Well, it's easy, but it costs you. I think that's kind of the point. Other than that, yeah, it's what we have here. You have AV rifles, LMG. This is the one unit where you don't pay enough price for bazookas, which I think is probably something Liszek should invest in. The issue with that is then again that this doesn't shoot below 100 meter range, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. Secrecy is going to be an issue, as we said, and then you have the AV rifles and the glider rifles, and all these kind of things. So AV converter gunners are not bad for 20 points. You can take them single, that availability is good. I think on Costa Rica specifically is actually a good unit, because you definitely know you're going to be having some of the 300 meter range fights anyway. So this is where these are really good. I think no need to comment on this, no need to comment on that. AA, not great, not terrible. I think we had the M15 discussion in my Discord lately. It's definitely good enough to deal with Russell's air spam. Russell does not have an insane amount. You can get quite a bit, but realistically, with all the other things you need to take, you can't bring a ton of planes out on the battlefield, and you're probably mostly going to be focused on AT, especially if there's Shermans around, because those can already be a bit of a problem. And then the air tab, yeah, no need to comment on that. These are probably, I don't think we're going to see this. This would be a really bad idea buying these, because it's just way too much buck for your bang, basically. The other way around. I had to rethink. Not the fastest in that. Yeah, but the rest is air spam. Good air spam. Crip says, I'll be curious to see whether he takes the AB converter guns. So what's everyone's opinion on those? I personally think they're really useful. I like them a lot. I think they're very, very nice to have. What do you think? Yay or nay? Hello, El Predator. Can I show that unit real quick? Yeah, I can show it to you. Don't recall the loadout. Yeah, we're gonna. I was way too fast. There we go. This one is the unit in question. Oh, Jaapaasa just messaged me, so I guess it's gonna start. Yeah, they're deploying, but we have some time. We don't need to. We can still look at the deck. We can also look at Russell afterwards. I mean, I think he's gonna take it. I think it would be bad not to. So, yay or nay? What do you think of it? Your sound is a bit low compared to another video camera. Yeah, so I just can't go very much higher with my microphone, otherwise you can like, hear a little bit of echo from the room, because I still have not enough stuff in place to prevent that, so I can't really increase it. I'm already on the max of increasing the input volume on my OBS, so usually when I edit the video, I just increase the sound a little bit to make it a little bit louder. But I hope it's still good enough so that you can still hear me well. I usually make sure, with my videos at least, that the sound is on a, like, is very well audible, so that you can play it without max settings, but I might be. I hope that is really how it works out over time. I check and it should be okay, but I'm not sure about the stream. But so far no one has complained, so I assume it's okay. Just less, I don't remember how good they do in CQC, but Chinese speaking I found them underwhelming. Well, it's not a CQC unit. It is a 300 meter unit. It's like an MP44 basically, or how it used to be, because the M1 didn't get changed. That's very important. What is that? Well, wait, that's the old build. Why do I keep that around? Where's the new build? Did I delete that accidentally? No. There we go. So yeah, it's not a CQC unit. You don't want to use that for CQC, except against a unit that is not made for CQC either. Then it's actually okay. On the other side, you have Röstersprung, of course, which, yeah, is very well known for this. I think we don't need to go into that. You have tons of Brandenburger, these guys, which are, it's just Raider. You have a lot of different Raider units here that you can choose from. Then, of course, importantly, no, sorry, where is it? These guys, really good as well. For only 20 points, nice little thing, aggressive unit. You have CQC here, that's pretty decent. You have this CQC, which is pretty decent. You have another CQC unit that is not as great, but it's chunky and has also rated rate, like everything here. You have another hybrid unit. So it's just a common theme of this, and I think it's just a very powerful interdivision in channel. I think most of you know it. For those of you who haven't known, now you know. The combination here makes it really hard to deal with this division. It is incredibly powerful on most maps. Now, it sometimes loses, but it, generally speaking, wins. And yeah, I think that's for a good reason. It's also usually banned on these kind of maps for exactly the same reason. You also get a ton of light armor, which of course in this matchup is not that strong, because remember, it gets easily killed. It's just easy to lose value with it. And then you have a ton of snipers and decent units too. Of course, this is the armor tab. Not fantastic, but it's cheap at least. Support tab. Again, not bad, really. Gebirgsarchier-Teams or Gebirgsarchier-Teams, really good. LG, it's good. Machine guns, the usual. The tab is not large, but you know, it can deal with a lot of things. This is the big weakness, as we've talked about. This is good. Very good. This is very good. This is okay. I think it also got reduced in price now with the LA FH18 getting reduced in price as well. I think this is another change. So 55 points for this. Or maybe this was not affected. I think other 105s were affected. I think the Quebec was one of them, but I might be wrong. Either way, not a bad unit. And then we have the AT there, of course, with really good tank AT planes. We have a good fighter, which is needed. You have some bombers if you want them. And we had this thing, which is what was mentioned earlier about being good for the plain cheese opener as well. So there's that. So there's just a lot of good things there. And yeah, it's real powerhouse on Kustritsa specifically. And I think we should go to the game before it starts without us. Not that it matters that much, as long as it hasn't ended. We can still go in there and watch. But of course, we want to go there. Last patch. Okay, so I was right. It did get increase in price. I remember that correctly. Good. All right, let's catch up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Filthy 13 immediately deployed over here. He could still deploy that on the road, you know. It can still go faster up to like here and then move in there. Of course, you can also drive it like back here and then just move it across. I've never thought of that, but now that I see it here, this would be my guess. Then it tries to cross and sneak it behind there. So this is kind of, so like this is in 9 out of 10 cases, it's what I've seen the unit being used there for, really. It's a transport snipe. It's otherwise good as well. That's the thing. But it's really good at that one thing. So Jaapaasa on the bad side, that's going to matter a lot because of multiple things, actually. So first off, he can't leverage his CQC to the same extent. So if you have more CQC, red side is significantly better for you because you can get into here. You can start pressuring these flags from this forest patch. Same thing for this flag. You can start pressuring these flags from the forest patches as well, which is very annoying for you as blue side. Blue side, of course, is generally weaker anyway, because red has 3 flags that they can easily push in one area, and from pushing one of them, you can switch over to the next area. This is generally where it's very good. Red, on the red side, there's still 2 flags that are grabbable, like you can push them realistically. You can also go for that one. So, the options are there. It's not that red side doesn't have any flags that are pushable. It's just you don't have 3 flags close to each other, which you can go in with one push. And that's what's really massive there. So, and again, for the CQC, that's really a bit of a problem because this is so much more, this is so useful for red side if you have good CQC, and especially if you have Raider. But, yeah. And the good thing is you don't necessarily need to push into these areas if you're on the red side. So if you don't have good CQC, you can just not do that. So that's where the big difference is. On the other side, you have this patch where you can get in realistically on the blue side, and that's kind of it. And especially in this matchup, this is important because this is quite far forward, so Jaapaasa can't cover that off with AA. So even if he gets in here with superior CQC, it's just going to get bombed to death. So he really needs to make a big push here to grab a lot of ground here so they can move up his AA to really be able to protect these flags if he goes for them. Also, for the open, I think... Yeah, for the open, I think that should be more favored for Liszek. So Jaapaasa can't push here as well. Over here, of course, this is where Jaapaasa's push can actually have an advantage with all the CQC. So this is definitely very good. But again, here this is a bit sealed off. So Jaapaasa really has to think twice about investing a lot of his precious AA over there. While this is where overall he still has more flags to grab. Like this channel area is just better for grabbing flags as a whole. So I think this is why specifically for this matchup, things might not look too bad for Liszek. I still need to deal with Russell's infantry. So that's still a problem. Like even if he has good units for towns. So I think it's gonna come down to how well Jaapaasa managed to push this area in general, and how much pressure he can build up there, because then Russell is still incredibly scary. Also, if the armor starts coming on Liszek's side and he has not covered that off with AA, it's going to be gone. Because the J87s will come out. This much I can promise you. If there's any armor that Jaapaasa can't deal with. But yeah, I think this is... Actually, I think it could be in favor of Liszek just because of the side he got. I did not actually think of that when I talked about the matchup. But I might be wrong. Did we actually catch up, or can we? No, we cannot go faster. We did catch up. That may be a crucial thing here, but it's still Russell's wrong. Its infantry is still very good, vastly superior actually. So I still think overall, Jaapaasa is still gonna do. Still gonna have the advantage just because of the division, but it's not as bad as I thought it was, and there's a realistic chance here for Liszek. It really depends a lot on the plays. Just little comments on the arty choice of Jaapaasa. Yeah, this thing, actually I've used it before. Oh, smoke open is being called for. Yes, he does that. He's already aiming. This thing is not bad. For 40 points, actually. It's not incredibly accurate, but it has a good rate of fire, even for the, I mean, okay, for the caliber, it's probably not a good rate of fire. But it's still decent at the end of the day, and if you can put... The thing is, you can double vet it, then it's all of a sudden fast shooting. And you can put an arty leader on it, get 2 of those, and it's going to be a fantastic unit. Oh, but the spread is too big, and then Freegang picks up one of the light armored vehicles. The ABM-1 guns and the M3 guns are moving into position, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. A lot of infantry here. Oh, look at that. He's just calling in a lot of converted gunners and then some actual quality infantry. So he might be able to overwhelm the Brandenburger ahead there just with those. Brandenburgers on the map are fantastic. Yes. The Hat Priest of the Cult of the Smoke arty opener. So this makes me happy. Well, I do have to say, Smoke is definitely, I think, underused in competitive 1-on-1 play. It is not as commonly seen as it should. So no push here. We also have to remember, Russell got faster transports now. Not a ton of them, but some, and that can really make a difference. This push here is going to be a bit of a problem because the Stoßjäger, as good as it is, just can't fight off all of this. It's going to get overwhelmed. Yes, Gebirgsschreiber is preventing here, is trying to prevent what's not actually going to happen, but still have it there, have to have it there, because if Bazooka unit is there, or if the Filthy 13 is showing up, it's not going to end super well. Now, if the Filthy 13 is showing up and is actually going through here, it's going to be a problem. If the demolition group is not being deployed, probably was supposed to go here as well. Jaapaasa can definitely react to the push there. We do see the first P51 coming in already. Going after leader is a good call. This thing is a good one. Yeah, it has the good AT rifle and a sniper, and it is dead. Which does not make it very good, of course. Predator asks, where are the units of Jaapaasa? He has expensive units. He had some light armor that was killed, and he has a ton of Brandenburger, which are going to get overwhelmed by all the converter guns here. This is what I expected. Yeah, there we go. Blenheim coming in for the recon. But you're right, it feels like a little bit low. Block filling coming in. I think this was bound to happen. In the south as well, yeah. I think Jaapaasa is, yeah, this is the problem of the Brandenburg, and this is where this can be a weakness, this unit sometimes. It is so easily overwhelmed by just a bunch of cheap units. And that can happen to you if you overinvest into those Brandenburg. Oh, wow. LG42 in a good position here to kind of help with that a little bit. It is, yeah, it's basically 1 health, so it's not that much you can do. It's probably better to just hope you can throw the TNT here. Probably. Another one coming in that can probably hold things. J87 coming in. No AA yet. The Blenheim is spawning the Sherman, so that Sherman might be gone. This is kind of what we predicted. But 12-12 again with Liszek grabbing this flag. Jaapaasa really needs to react to that. Stoßjäger let the units pass through. If he kills off the leader here, that would be huge. Converted gunners are now moving in. This thing really needs to get in a position where the demolition group can't help with the M1 carbines. There we go. 2v1 though. It's gonna lose that. It's gonna throw the TNT though. But yeah, can't do it. There we go. Down it goes. Guess the LG42 and 9G18 will save Jaapaasa North. They might. This thing as well, since there's nothing actually there to deal with. Oh, actually there's a pack of 75 mil, but it's not in the position where it can do anything. So Jaapaasa's just not going to get anything there, but he's also not going to lose much. P51 here might actually die to the flag filling. I think it's actually going to die. J87 has survived, but Jaapaasa really should call that off now. No, he really wants that. He really wants that Sherman. He's not going after it anyway. I'm not really sure why he called that in. Jaapaasa ended the game. Wow. Oh, he disconnected. No. No, he was disconnected, really. Okay. He's actually out trading. Liszek. Interesting. Well, that was the plane, basically. I think that was really the plane and one other unit, and that was that. But I'm not really sure what happened here. So if you really disconnected and didn't surrender, that was a technical issue, I guess. Now, I think enough time has passed so that a rematch is not necessarily needed to be done. But, of course, I think as a good sport, he would do that. I would assume. I know. Let's wait to see what information we get. I really have to imagine this was just we have Cheesecake's game. It's not. I don't think it's a competitive player. I think that's just someone playing. Let's quickly wait to hear from Jaapaasa. It's gonna write in the chat very soon, I think. Or I actually can ask and see what happens. Oh, also Liszek. So wait, what? Liszek posted a picture in complaining about the HE111. So apparently he thought that was a 1,000 kilogram bomb. So it makes a lot more sense why he took it now. I guess he took the wrong one then. In 20th in the first game where he took the bad one. Why am I scrolling to the allies? It's definitely not where we need to go. Because I remember there's 2 bombers in here. Yeah, he mixed them up. This one has the same veil. I guess he didn't look closely. I mean, you can see it if you select the unit. So that's on him, but still. that explains why I took that bomber, which is really bad, instead of this one, which is actually good. A bit slow, but for the bomber, that I think that's acceptable. Okay, so now we know. Yes, it was indeed a disconnect. The Jaapaasa just confirmed it. It wasn't on purpose. So let's see if they redeploy. Of course, if they do, they can decide to redo that game until they're both on the same side. Which, if I was Liszek, I would definitely insist on. And this is really just fair. I think luck has kind of decided which side you're gonna get, and yeah. So this is how it is. It's also, generally speaking, I haven't checked how the rules are for that specific thing for FOB Arena, but it's basically how every tournament does it. Unless both players decide that it doesn't matter, but we all know it matters on most maps. And if the map itself, if it doesn't matter on the map itself, it might matter on that map just because of the matchup. So it's done. Yeah, they say they're gonna deploy again. So there's that. I start wondering if... Did Liszek change the name, maybe? Is that the game? Would be possible. Yeah, it did. Okay. Oh, it's a visual bug. We've had these in the past. We did. Okay. Did they get the same sites then? I would assume so, because otherwise they would have already restarted the lobby. I would think. Let's see. Let's see. That would be a shame if that was the game. Because the matchup is interesting. I really do want to see who wins that. I do have some ideas, again, based on the sides, but then there's the matchup thing which we've talked about, so I don't know. Now, of course, this is a bit of an issue, because Jaapaasa now has some crucial information about, you know, the opener with all the converted gunners, and I think Liszek would be stupid not to do it again, but now Jaapaasa can at least adjust. So that's definitely here. Then again, Jaapaasa's main push here, that strategy is now also known. So there we go. Let's see. Who's on which side? Well, I think it has to be same side, right? Because generally, if it's Axis versus allies, I think allies are always right. Yep, it's the same side. So there we go. You're really curious to see now. I've never been in... Yes, it's Liszek, El Predator. I've never actually been in a situation where I had to do that. I think if I had disconnected, it was usually before the game even started. So far I've never been in a situation where my opener was already known to my opponent. Because as El Predator brought up, it's an interesting question now. If, you know, you just double down and do the same thing again, or if you're like, okay, my opener is known, so I'm going to change things around. Well, I think Jaapaasa doesn't really have much of a choice, actually, because he still has to go for this. This one he can go for, which he tried, but he can't just push everything over here, so he's still going to put things over here and over here. Liszek has more options. He doesn't need to push this. He can also push this. He can also try to push this. So I think Liszek, again, has more of a choice. And yeah, he brings the M16 right away. Now, it's not the best AA piece, but of course he's now aware of the Ju-87, so this actually is not good for Jaapaasa, because he's not going to bring that again. This thing will eventually force it off. It's not the best AA piece, but it can do well against the infantry. It can still pin some units, some vehicles actually decently fast. But again, if you have it like super close, it will do AA just fine. Not killing, but forcing it off, and this is all he needs. Up north, we do see the same thing again, a lot of converted gunners. Now, the question is, does Jaapaasa actually put more there? Does he put the same there? Or does he put less there and not even try to grab it? Because that's actually a valuable strategy as well. You know, blue doesn't need to push it, right? It is the easiest flag, the most common one, the classical one for blue to push, but you don't need to do that. Speaking, by the way, now that we're here, speaking about all these deployments, options, and whatnot, I've made a poll on the YouTube channel. If you've seen it, you already know about what kind of guides you would like to see the most. Of course, aimed at newer players, and the majority one's map-specific guides. So I'm going to pump these out. I'm going to start working on the first one this weekend. Depending on how fast I am, we might see it next week already. Maybe not. I do have to put some thought into this, but you know, these kind of things are exactly the kind of things that we'll need to talk about. You know, how to open on the maps, which are classic place push, all these kind of things. I just want to point that out. Also, that reminds me to remind you that for all of you who are interested in playing in the Tribute to the Kingdom of Steel tournament, which is basically reviving the rule set of the Kingdom of Steel tournament, for all of those of you who are interested, you can still sign up for the next 2 weeks. It's going to start in November, basically the Monday 3rd, that is, I think. You're going to do the seeding on the 2nd. And sign up. So the way it's going to work is you can basically build your own army group, and you kind of have like it's basically like a battle group where, you know, you have your different tabs with different amount of slots, and they have different costs. You have the same thing, but your tabs are basically going to be tiers of a tier list, so that you can't just take all the best divisions. Because that army group is going to be consisting of all the divisions that you can play in the tournament. You cannot play any divisions that are not in the army group, and once you play the division once, you cannot play it again for the rest of the tournament. So you're going to see a big, like, great mix of top tier and yeah, it's going to be a good mix of some good divisions, top tier divisions, and some really low tier divisions. So it's really fun. So again, if you want to join in that, signups are open. If you're in the FOB HQ Discord, you can it's in the announcement somewhere. If you're on my Discord, it's also in the announcement. Otherwise, you can check the last video. I've put the sign-up links and the rules that there in the description as well, so you can go and check that out as well. You should also, of course, watch the video. No, I mean, I know that generally speaking, the playing evolutions videos are not as well liked, so you don't need to watch it. But if you want to see, the link is there. I can't be bothered to put it into the comments and the description of the stream now. I should. I'll probably do that after it's ended. How is the tournament player base looking so far out of the usual suspects? It's the usual suspects. We have Hobo Tango himself, personally, coming back. So I really hope there's not just a pro bracket, because he's really rusty. And I would love, like, he's a really nice guy, and would love to, and a fun character too. So I would love for him to actually have some fun too. Needs to be enough people to form a new bracket, because I'm not sure. Well, at the moment, it's 10 people. It's the usual suspects plus 2, maybe 3 people for a lower bracket. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if no newer players sign up because they're afraid, then we're never going to get a new bracket. So, what we can do is, you know, we can specifically let everyone who would be in a lower bracket know when the tournament is going to start that there are not enough people, and then they can decide still. But yeah, just wanted to make advertisements for that tournament. If you want to go check it out, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It at least used to back when it was played in the Kingdom of the Noobs, which was what the Discord was called. It was a great place. So yeah. Also, Jaapaasa already calling out it's going to be mind games now, which of course is true. And there we go. He's doing the same thing again. Up north, same thing again. Down south, I think 1 or 2 units more. But no, actually, same thing again. Down south for Liszek, not the same thing again. In the center, kind of same thing again. Up north, same thing again, maybe a bit more units this time. We have recon planes this time from the start from Jaapaasa to see if Liszek is going to do the same thing again, which he does not. But now I'm wondering where all of Liszek's points went. Is it really just that? Did he just drop the push here in favor of the M16? I think that might be it. El Predator Attack Power announced it on his YouTube. You can, you know, you have the comments section. No, sorry, what's it called? Like, you have a community section where you can do posts, and he posted it over there. It didn't stop with ST2 though, it just stopped casting. That's two different things. He actually said that he might have more time to play Steel Division 2 now, which I can definitely get, because from my own experience I can tell you, if you're making content, you really do have less time for playing. I could probably improve more or be a better player at this point if I wouldn't do casts, but ultimately I enjoy them very much as well. Yeah, up north, same thing is kind of happening again. I don't think anything's going to change for Jaapaasa over there. It's still going to lose that. Yes, these again. The only difference is this time I think Liszek might want to bomb those. Although Flak is coming out here, so it's not going to protect it. It's only 5 minutes done. The smoke plays again. It's worked once again. Jaapaasa making a good push here. It's going to get some ground here. But the M16 is now moving in. Oh, baby. Let's go. Insta-pin. I used to play... I'm not good at it. I was never good at it. But I used to play Company of Heroes with a friend a while back. And he always played the Soviets, and you can get basically this thing as well in that game. And he called it the party bus, because it was always a big party when it arrived. So I would definitely... I want to introduce this for Steel Division as well. I love the name. It's the party bus. Party bus has arrived. Well, the 5013 is over here. I didn't notice that. All the M10s, M1 carbines here, gonna do a lot of damage. LT42 finishes off the MG again. Interesting choice there. This time no big push. L4 actually lets Liszek know what's there. Panzertrack coming in. I think that has nothing to do with the M16 here. No. Sherman arrived once again, but I don't think we're going to see the Ju-87 this time. I got back up in the... had the M16. I'm not sure if it's the M16, but it's like, I think this is like a transport thingy that you can upgrade to a flak filling. Maybe it's not the 50 cal. I think it's 50 cal. I don't think it's flak filling. I think it's a quadruple 50 cal. Might be wrong, but I definitely remember there being like a truck with full 50 cals on the back of it. Pretty sure of that. Oh, nice push there. Jaapaasa actually shifting it over here and going after the AB rifle with a nice push there. AB SPW moving in there as the M16 is reacting, so that is huge. This is a huge call here. This is also a huge call. AB Rifles LMG forcing off the SKB Strife, but the Brandenburger are different caliber there. SPW gets a kill there, huge. Blitzkrieg really want to loft the M16, but 60 points is almost Sherman territory price-wise. Yeah, I think it's too expensive. The problem is it is so good against infantry. If you make it cheaper, it's going to become really obnoxious. I don't think you can realistically make it cheaper. But for what it does for AA, I think it's kind of overpriced. I'm there with you. They had M5s on some Soviet Lend-Lease divisions, but I don't remember it could upgrade to an M16. Oh, it could. And this is about the only thing I remember about COH. I am not being very good at this game. I completely sucked. I always lost. And I don't like it too much. I tried to actually get back in it once, but Steel Division is where it's at for me. 260 mils here, they can do a lot of damage here. They can do a lot of pinning, certainly. They can also kill eventually, but especially the pinning part. The SKB Strife here moving in and just casually grabbing the flag rank to 59 for Jaapaasa, as he's not really getting pushed up north here. So this is a major mistake there by Liszek. He has all these units. The recon plane has been there. It got shot down in the meantime, but you know, it was there, and it could let him know that these could push, that he can still overwhelm that. I think part of the reason why he's not doing that again is that when they did that last time, the Brandenburger were here to hold the edge of the forest, which is not the case anymore. So now the TNT is much more scarier now, as well as the commando in that situation. But still, oh, Brandenburger here doing what it does best. Abrams LMG is not the best reaction to this, as they just won't stand up against the Brandenburger here. Schlossjäger is going to get a kill here. Jaapaasa has a really nice push. AB engineers actually got spotted out too by the SKB Strife. They lost land. How did they? They didn't move. As far as I'm concerned, these didn't move either. How could they lose line of sight? Attack beacon on this, that's going to get bombed. Pretty sure of that. Another M16 coming in. Again, if it's enough to force off the Ju-87 tank bus, that's already all that needs to be happening there. SKBX Fizzly is in the church tower. Might not be for that much longer with all the 60 mils. Well, if they keep going like that, they will eventually run out of ammo. FSS SSFS Stoßjäger actually got the kill there. 50 cal moving in, might get killed by this in transport. A lot of AB converted gunners coming. This is the other advantage of these guys, which I like them for 20 points. If you need just boots on the ground somewhere, like just anything to really stop a gap, like to fill a gap, where they don't actually need to fight, which is, here they actually need to fight, but that's kind of besides the point. Like for this flag, for example, you just throw them in for 20 points, it's very affordable, which the rest of the infantry is not really. AB Rifles LMG is now in a position where he can actually use the LMG, which is huge, but it's still not going to win against a Brandenburger. More Brandenburger pushing here, 6mm mortar being now focused on this Brandenburger. They might still kill or pin it in time. A big counter push here with CQC. But it's actually good news for Jaapaasa because that means that all the CQC is going to be out here and not anywhere else. And that opens up, you know, options for Jaapaasa to eventually push up here. If he ever brings recon plane here, he might spot this and then he could just use one bombing strike for that. If he has bombs, I'm not really sure if he has. We see the K35 now, and this thing is an entirely different beast than this thing, which is useful for 40 points. Like, I definitely think it's decent unit for 40 points, especially, you know, for like an area like this. The spread doesn't really matter that much. You like target it at like channel area and it will get value eventually. But this thing or this thing, for some reasons, a lot of Czech units in this game are just very good. I don't mind, they're all cool units, but this thing 8 rounds a minute for 105 is pretty good, and it's quite accurate too, especially in radio range. Excavation Drive actually won against the against the 50 cal. It's not going to win against those, although another one might do because they would just outrange those. SPW now pushing in the glider rifles. That would have been a very different history if those were SS glider rifles. Glider rifles are going to win against the SS Stoßjäger, and they can actually threaten this thing too. So sniper coming in. Oh, there we go. Jaapaasa pushing really well here. It's making very good use of his early potential. 50 cal of the Sherman now shredding some Brandenburger. SPW is moving out. Panzerstrike is definitely in a position where he could do something against it. The problem is the 5013 is kind of blocking that off. But we hardly ever see such a deep push in the south here, which is really fantastic to see. Love to see it. We have more two M3 guns coming in and more glider rifles. I think that's a little bit excessive in terms of AT. They're cheap though, so I get it, but they're actually a little bit too close as well. I think Liszek is just lagging behind here a little bit with his deployment. A lot of pushing power by Russell there, and this is what we talked about when we talked about the matchup, right? So yes, Liszek could start air spamming, and he could also take this out and then start air spamming, but it's just with the pressure that Russell can generate on the ground, it's just not that easy to do that. However, as soon as Jaapaasa loses that pressure, this is when things can start getting a bit tricky. So this is when it's going to get dangerous. Panzerstrike here got spotted out by looks of it. Oh, Pack 38 is too close, going to get sniped by the AB scouts. Not looking that good for Jaapaasa here, actually. Block feeling a little bit too close. It's going to... Belcher is coming in for fire support, actually. Oh, the M15 is not stopping. Oh, okay. Ju-87s are in. Yeah, okay. Against the fast flying plane, it's not that good, and then you have the Stukas, which is not going to kill. So that's now we have the M15 coming. SPW is in a very dangerous spot. Did some damage. He could do more. If Jaapaasa sees the M15, oh no, it's in a good position. Okay, he can still move that way. He can still threaten. He could definitely threaten those 60 mils. So that is potentially very dangerous. This flag just barely re-grabbed. GBH Strife here now finding converted gunners and glider rifles. But the GBH Strife are in a good range for that fight. That's definitely good on them. Brandenburger moving in. It's probably good. Yeah, it's probably going to spot the AB engineers out of CQC range. So it's not very good for Liszek, of course, either. But Liszek, of course, is in a comfortable position that he has the good side of the map where Jaapaasa has to push quite a bit deeper to really make it work in the center here. Up north, nothing happens still. I'm surprised about that. So once again, we do see a very more like one-sided game, or like one focus in one area. This is what I've been looking for. L6 now coming in. So Jaapaasa actually making good use of his light armor so far, despite this being the division that counters that best. So that's very impressive. So like fully now moving back as Jaapaasa realized maybe he's gone a little bit too far with that. 105 is still going after the 60 mil. They have definitely done the work here. They have, I think, like they have done a lot of the heavy lifting here for stopping Jaapaasa's push here. It's not the only unit. There we go. One of them goes down. It's not the only unit for sure, but they've done a lot of work. One more was forced off. AB engineers are now forced off as well. SKB Strife moving in. No defensive position. So Jaapaasa is expecting to lose this in the near future and just wants to be on the safe side. SPW. Oh, there's an M3 gun moving into position slowly. AB rifles also. Liszek has noticed by the looks of it. Blenheim being forced off. Is it going to get killed, actually? It only has medium resilience. It doesn't have very good resilience, or good resilience. So that makes a difference. No, it gets out there. More units coming in the Jaapaasa side. I think he's preparing, As B phase comes around, I think he's preparing to dig in now with defensive unit. And just making sure he does not get overwhelmed easily. Is it game 1? No, this is game 2. Game 1 was on Harrow. It was a beautiful grind and a very close game. If you want to go back and watch it, I'm not going to give any hints on the result. I think I haven't done that already, right? I just said where it was played. I don't think I've given away the result. So there's that. One gun finds the AB-84 and gets a kill. 51 are going after the SKBX Strife, which I think would have lost against the AB engineers anyway. Oh, I pinned the AB engineers too. Brandenburger could have gone... Yeah, Jaapaasa is reacting. He knows it's there. Is pushing to surrender it. Nice move there. I think Liszek actually has hurt himself there more than if he had just stayed. All the SPWs being spotted out now. And Sherman pushing into position to kill those. Pack 38 is reacting though, so nice. Nope, actually it is not. So they're probably going to die. The rifles are losing against the Brandenburger though. That's not the best fight there. L6 goes down to the Sherman. And more SS Fallschirmjäger moving into position. So Jaapaasa is preparing to dig in. He knows that now it's B phase. Now it's Liszek's time to push. And he's getting ready for a flak feeling. He's moving again up close. So I think this is a very ballsy. J87s are moving away. I think he's lost line of sight on the Sherman. He's used the... what's it called? He's used the Blenheim a little bit too early. Oh, P51 gets a full burst of the flak feeling. So he could... Yeah, there we go. Down it goes. This is very crucial. If Jaapaasa can just slowly grind down the Air Force, I think he's in a very good position. It's very bold of him pushing the flak feeling so close. But at the same time, it's really benefiting him. Like, he can take... You know, he got that kill. If he can get more, it can really work well for him. But I think, he senses that he's going to get pushed back. So the flak feeling is now moving back as well. A lot of micro there. But, you know, it's really crucial. Jaapaasa knows that he has 2 of those. And if they die, it's going to be game over for him. We've talked about this. At least at this point. You know, if it happens later on, it's not so much the case. But if it happens right now, this is going to be game over. There we go, a big push there, but they're all bunched up together. Yeah, there we go. 60mm mortars immediately going after flak feeling, which has moved. Next push here. Now, these things do not have AT. That is very crucial. They do have grenades, which is very helpful here, but they don't have AT. J18 here in position as well. This push here, working super well though. And Liszek will not have endless amounts of CQC. He's already lost quite a few units in here that were not meant to be finding over there to begin with. L4H is again providing reconnaissance up north. Should let Liszek know. But Jaapaasa still has the Veltro. So that's going to kill that again. It's only 10 points, but still. It's nice that it is out of the way. And for Liszek, it's nice to have the vision. Ooh, 105's coming in. There's still only 1 M15 and 2 J87 tank passes. So if Jaapaasa ever wants to get rid of this, I think you can still do it. Especially if it like picks an attack angle from like up here. It just comes down south from the north. Another M16 being called in. That definitely helps. But yeah, I think Jaapaasa can realistically kill that if he really wants to. So I wouldn't be worried about that if I was him. And there we go. Big counter push with AB Demolitions Group and CQC unit. But they're in a bit weird spot where the Fallschirmjäger could outrange them. That's going to happen again. No, it is not. Line of sight tool is sometimes really failing us. Oh, it's actually happening again. Yeah. And there we go. Gets pinned. Wouldn't intend for Jaapaasa still. 51 is coming in. Oh, there's more 20 mils here. Wow, I think it's going to lose another plane here. 51s are fast and have good loadouts, but they are still... Yeah. Oh, bad resilience. Down he goes. That is huge for Jaapaasa. So far, they're really not that value generated by Liszek's Air Force, and I think maybe he was a bit too overconfident with it. And I mean, he knew that there was AA, right? That's the other thing. Just ask, where are the Brandenburger base? They would be shredding in the middle forest. Probably in B phase. A lot of people, myself included, put them very often to B phase, especially since you have, you know, so this thing. No, we don't have any of those left. The Fallschirmstoßjäger, these are phase locked to A phase. These guys, I think, are not, but they're best taken in A phase, in my opinion. And then the other Pioneer unit is also, I think, phase locked to A phase. Oh, he's going to lose that stupid. Nice move, though. I love the attempt going after flag filling. So usually you have it around in B phase to kind of double down and really hold things and defend. Because in A phase you have plenty of options available already. In B phase you are a little bit more struggling. So that's how it's usually done. But it's B phase. Yeah, but I guess, you know, I mean, he's lost that before, right? I think he did the big pusher before B phase came around. Also, the other thing is, of course, he might actually not have taken it because maybe he decided that it is not the way to go with this matchup because he needs more line infantry. That would definitely be reasonable as well. Because Seekers is not going to be his issue. These guys will do that. But I don't know. This is just speculation. Oh, getting pounded per shit. Predator says that he feels he passes enough AT in the field. I think it might be enough. He probably should put an AT gun in here. That much I agree with. But other than that, I think he has what he needs. Especially considering that, you know, he has two Ju-87s, and so far there's not been a ton of AA, which is coming now. So I think that is going to go now. That option, using those Ju-87s, that might actually come back to bite Jaapaasa because so far he has not really used them all that much. He hasn't generated a lot of value based on those. And Liszek apparently feels safe enough to call him more AA, so he feels like he's under control well enough. And so that's not looking very good for Jaapaasa then. So now things, of course, change a little bit. Yeah, the Sherman here being a bit of a problem. The SS Fallschirmjäger countering with that. Oh, Pack 40 gets a kill here, though. This guy's getting unloaded by the 105 over here. That definitely asks for an answer. LG-42, I think, spots probably the AB scouts. The 105 could spot that. No, he can't. Now it does. Pack 40 moving in. It's definitely up close enough to deal with the 105, so that could be potentially an issue. So surprised that we don't see any plays by any of these players. Jaapaasa could go for this, really. You know, there we go. Both Ju-87s are going after the 105, but there's another M15 now in here. Jaapaasa's calling it off. Why? Oh, it's moving. Maybe it just lost line of sight again. It's waiting for the Blenheim, but the problem is the Blenheim's now going to get forced off as these guys are circling around. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, Brandenburger players are coming in down south, so now he's decided to bring them. So he really had them in B phase. And now he's realizing how much shade there is and it's going after Ju-87s. They might still be useful later on if, you know, Jaapaasa manages to thin out the AA a little bit, and once one of the tanks gets too deep, then those all of a sudden become useful again. So they're not useless, but I think it's really a problem that a big problem for Jaapaasa right now that he bought those and has not really gotten any value out of those. It's going to get another flag here though, so far it's the end of B phase and he's still struggling to equal out. But this might change. We always have to remember, and I say it again and again and again. B phase is not necessarily where you have to see the breakthrough from Maverick. Often enough it happens later, and that's not necessarily a bad sign. It's just due to the fact that your income advantage needs to pile up, the better trades that you can make because of that need to add up, your units need to arrive at the front line and then eventually see the breakthrough, right? Your opponent has still, especially in Vanguard versus Maverick, your opponent still had a lot of advantage for quite a while. You first have to equal out the income advantage and you have to grind them down a little bit so that you really have the overwhelming forces to push, and then you can push. You have 155 now in, going not for counter battery but after the Brandenburger. Those two together can definitely do decent at counter battery, which you're not doing, but they're grouped up so they can potentially get killed very easily. Let's get Big Side coming for the center just to hold things. Yeah, maybe this is not something that Jaapaasa wants to push further. I'm so surprised he doesn't try to go for this. I know that he knows that there's a lot of things there, but, you know, one artillery piece. One of these 40-point pieces up here, and you can soften that up and then eventually push. But, you know, I guess he doesn't have any bombers or anything like that. because otherwise, you know, these would definitely be well used there. Maybe engineers just want to fight in here, so letting Liszek know there's not really that much here. Oh, Jaapaasa is already reacting and sending something over there. To do with that. Brandenburg Pie will win that. Now the Brandenburg Pies are in. There's no way that Liszek's going to get back into that forest unless he uses bombing runs. The streets are reinforcing pathing is trolling again. Oh, what happened? Is he losing those units over here? These guys? Yeah, too. It's so annoying. I really... The problem is I can kind of see... I see why it's not so easy to do that. Because if you make, like, code it in a way, and I'm not really, like, I'm not an expert at that. Okay, I know nothing about coding or anything like that. But just from a logical standpoint, if you make it so, this thing's actually the only thing that's preventing a 15-9 for Jaapaasa, so you re-grab this flag again. Which now is lost, so it's not the only thing preventing it. There we go, P-51 is going after Pack 40, it's not covered. There's a flag filling here, but it's too far in the forest. This one is not anywhere close enough. Shredding AB engineers though, that's going to lose that Pack 40. He might lose the PA-51 though, because it's flying into the flag filling now, and he's already got a burst off from that one. Ooh. I think he's going to lose that. Yeah, one of the last shots, wow. But yeah, oh, immediately counterbatting against the 155, yikes. But what I was going to say is that, or I actually forgot what I was going to say, sorry. But one thing about this, so this is a trap that, like 20 mils, which have a little bit of a shorter range, and fast flying planes can kind of give you sometimes. You get in too deep, and you wouldn't abort because you know that, you're going to get in. But what you don't think about is, on your way out, this is when things are going to go really south. So, there's a common thing. Or reinforcement roads, thank you. So, I can imagine why it might be difficult to put this up the correct way, because, oh, this thing... Good idea there to move in, but it was just stopped a little bit too early. And down goes. Because, you can't just say you can't get too close to enemy territory, or you can't get into enemy territory. Because obviously, if you want to drive your unit there deliberately, it wouldn't do that. So you kind of have to find a rule set. Like, we can apply common sense, but of course, it's not that easy to do that. That much I know and understand. It's not that easy to do that for the AI of the fastest road. So you would have to make it clear that you cannot take it in that situation, but you can take that route in another situation. So I think that is not that easy, probably. So I can see why it happens, and I can see why it can be difficult to do that, set that up in that way. But it's yeah, as we said, there's just not that many ways how you can do that, I think, easily. I'm sure there is a very complicated way, but still, if you give that choice to the game AI, you will automatically, like, there will always be a guaranteed situation where it will misunderstand what you want. And then you're going to be also annoyed. So that's kind of where it's at. Roy asked if Liszek picked first. No, Liszek did not first pick, which makes it even more surprising. Again, as we talked about, there's definitely strengths to 101st here, but as we've also talked about, I think it's really hard to beat Russell on this map. And I really don't think that 101st is a good counter pick to that. And funny enough, he's actually get Bullet Light Allied Army and Liszek surrenders. Wow. But it says rather I'd solve it by making more precise control easy for the player. Yeah, I think this could definitely be options like that you could set yourself. I think that would be cool if you could get, like, generate some presets with if you are that close to the front line, but you're not going directly there, because then you kind of, if it misinterprets what you wanted, then it's kind of on you because you specifically set it up like that. I think that would be a way. Like, if you could, like, prioritize routes manually, and like be like, okay, on this map in this spot, prefer this route always. I think something like that would be cool. But it's probably a lot of work. The counterbat is probably, yes, it was. I mean, Liszek was losing that too. This was a short one and very decisive. I mean, yeah, look, Jaapaasa easily outtraded Liszek. And I mean, Liszek started the air spam he just way too early, and I think he just got too close. I think that's what it really came down to. But at the flag feeling, very up close. Liszek didn't really focus that nearly enough, and he just lost too many planes against that. And I can see it because it's the only thing that 101st really is going after over Russell. At the end of the day, on top of being maybe a little bit better at 2K. But it's not a massive advantage, really. So, start. I mean, Jaapaasa already had a great opener. And then... But yeah, I think Liszek also missed an opportunity. He could have probably pushed a little bit more up north. And he couldn't have gotten much there, because at CQC he was never going to make it. Like in CQC, he was always going to be losing against Russell. But at least up north, making some pressure that Jaapaasa can't just easily push stands off, that could have helped him. He had a lot of forces there. So using a plane there to just soften things up and then push, I think that would have been the right play there. I'm really surprised that he didn't do that. I think that was a major mistake there by Liszek. So that surprised me quite a bit. Predator asked, I wonder what was open as Allied Division. Yeah, me too. I think there's definitely options here that you wanted that could take. Not saying that any of those are better than Russell, but I think there's plenty of divisions that would have been better than this. So we can actually do some brainstorming. I can ask Jaapaasa what the bans were. All right, 101st isn't really a pick you want against strong infantry like this. Yes, I agree. I agree. So 2-0 for Jaapaasa. Yes, Bips. Jaapaasa 1-2-0. Look at that flak feeling go. He killed 4 P-51s. I didn't even keep track on that. I thought like 2, maybe 2. No, 3, I think. What we're seeing 3. One I didn't even notice. Damn. Liszek says you should have won game 1. Yeah, we talked about this. I think you probably lost it when you lost your AA in the center. Because I think that helped Jaapaasa getting those crucial airstrikes to stop you there. And that was such a close game. Wow, look at the Brandenburger doing their thing again. It's just absolutely disgusting. On the other side, Shermans are good. Shermans are good. And this thing, the party bus striking again, killing infantry. This thing is really cool, but it's just expensive. Okay, so we got the bans from Jaapaasa now. So now we can check what allied divisions would have been open. We're just talking about this, Liszek. Liszek says, I lost it when I lost one quadruple 20 mil. Yeah. So, on the allied side, SSB was banned, DFL was banned, Dodi 9 calf, okay. ATF, CAS, 4th US, Piechotti 422nd, 4th US again, I think that must be a typo, and Morskaya. So I can see the issue. That's a lot of allied divisions banned. Some of the good access too, though, with Kessel, Hartneck, 50PX, 18th. Surprised. Yeah, SNP Roy, I don't think is a counter here. Its infantry is not good enough. It has good infantry and it has a light armor span, but I don't think it is a good counter to Russell. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it is. On the allied side, that makes it rough. I think on the Axis side, you could have tried with some cheap things. Like, I'm not kidding, Rechmaripana, as stupid as it sounds, would have been an option. I don't think it's a good counter on Kastritsa to Russell, to be honest. But yeah, you're right, it would have been open. This thing would not have been a good pick. But we're on the Axis side anyway, which was not available. It was only allies left. So let's get through the list. So this was banned. Would have been okay, I think. This would probably have lost. Rukma is not bad, but it's not very good. It's still... I think after bans, it's not a bad pick, actually. But Rukma has a lot of issues, as we've seen in recent games as well. I got my one Rukma window, so I'm happy with that. In the recent tournament that we were holding. CIL after the buffs, maybe. I think it would still get overwhelmed by... but I mean, you wouldn't really think of CL because of... it's only since today, actually, I think, decent again. But I think CL would have been a good call. That would have been an option. This sounds like a bad idea, but if you're allies, Corporal maybe... I know, Babes, that NOV is not a joke. I've lost to it with Russell recently, but upon watching the replay, I don't think that NOV is a good counter necessarily. I just played that very poorly. My opponent played it very expertly. It definitely, like, there's definitely something going for it. I'm not denying that, but I don't think it's the best pick here, to be honest. I'm still not convinced that these were banned. Again, I think CL would have been maybe a good pick, or at least an okay one. Corporal could actually have worked, in my opinion. It's again, not a good pick. I would not necessarily take it. That wouldn't be my first choice at all, but I think if you're desperate, that's probably a choice you can make. What else would be an option? BRO, probably not, honestly. Maybe. Let's get back to list. Someone says 26. We're gonna get to that, but yeah, I think 26 would be a good option. 184 could actually maybe also work. Probably rather not. VDV, maybe. Wasn't banned apparently, so I think VDV would have been an option. 126 Gorno, seriously an option as well, in my opinion. I think you could do it. It is not easy, but I think it would have been an option too. This was banned, apparently, according to Jaapaasa. So yeah, I think from the Soviets, I think 126 and 26 would probably be decent choices here, all things considered. Rip says, I don't see Wrestle is such a problem here. I think the problem is Jaapaasa being good. No, it is definitely not just Jaapaasa. Jaapaasa is good. That's no question. Oh, 26 is also banned. Okay. I didn't look correct. I didn't check that correctly then. But yeah, I mean, Jaapaasa is good. That's no question. But I really think 6th Airborne, no. That would have been a horrible pick. Because the infantry can't match that of 6th Airborne. You can air spam better, admittedly so. But you can neither match the infantry in CQC nor at range. And it's not cheap enough for that. I don't think 6th Airborne is a good... 6th Airborne is not a counter to infantry division. Koenig just demonstrated that really nicely in his third game against Jaapaasa. But yeah, I mean, Russell is really strong. It's like Russell is probably the strongest CQC division at the moment, or one of the strongest, easily. Top 3, no question asked. Ceviche stand style could work. Oh, nothing though. Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, I think you can actually make that work, going with the armor. But let's be honest, not many people can play this stand style on Kastritsa, so I don't think it's really realistic. We talked about BRO, but I don't think BRO is the best option here. I think some of the others we talked about would have been better, probably. I also disagree about your statement that 126 this week. I think 126 would have been an option in this situation. I really do believe he can do that. It's not as good as Moskaya, but, you know, like, these things are really good. You have the air spam as well if you want it, which you have to be careful about. These help with that because they're really good. Your CQC infantry, you actually have some good options for that too. You have some good armor that can support your infantry. You do have 50mm mortars. I don't know why I took them in B-face in this deck, but I need to go with that. I need to work on that again anyway. I haven't played that in like years. But I think that would have been actually an option. Would Bro really be that different from Hanafa? See, this is what I think. You have better CQC. You do have better CQC. Absolutely agree. However, other than that, yes, your infantry still is not really up for that. You're not paying the up price for bazookas, but at the same time, you still need them with how many light armored cars that Jaapaasa still brought to the table. At Predators, it fluctuating would have read the place. Well, here's the thing. Yes, they would have, but they are high flying, high altitude, very good resilience. So not dying as quickly. That's the first thing. The second thing is, again, you have the mountain guns, which are really good for taking out those AA pieces. And they're fairly cheap. So you can buy those instead of a 60 mil, and instead, like, in contrast to the 60 mil, they will actually do the work against. They will actually do work against the AA. If there's a need to watch this replay, because I really don't see the problem countering Wrestle. Feel free to watch it. You can also give it a try, but Wrestle is incredibly powerful. Like, this is the CQC division. I'm actually no offense, but I'm really baffled that you don't see that. But I mean, I think you're used to a lot of the like lower tier divisions, which can sometimes obscure how good some of the good ones are, especially if you play with lower tier divisions that people are not ready to face. I think that sometimes is a part of the heavy lifting here, which I think is why Wrestle, for example, you might not see that big of a problem. But Wrestle is really, like, on Cell and Kostritsa, unless there's a skill difference, it's really hard to counter Wrestle. It's like a lot of these division babes. Technically, there's weaknesses, yes, but if you use your strengths the right way, the weaknesses are not that big of an issue. And I think we've seen this here quite well, actually. Played normal divisions lately against Mule, for example. Still need to check those out, yeah. SB, if open. No, SSB was banned. SSB, maybe. But even then, I think it would struggle, probably. I think it would struggle. Like, I'm still of the opinion that Wrestle is one of the hardest divisions to ban. Well, okay, you played the Inquisition babes. It's no more normal. I agree. It's still not a meta choice though. Far from that. But yeah, you're right. You're right. But yeah, I would. But yeah, SSB would work if it wasn't banned, but it was banned, unfortunately. Jaapaasa Liszek is still around. Someone, I think Kerb asked earlier. I'm not even sure if he's still around. He might have gone to sleep. I think it's going to be quite late for him, or early actually, rather. If you guys are up for a little post-match interview, if you want to do that, no need to do it. But I again was not prepared for any questions or anything like that because I didn't think of it once again. But if you're up for that, we can do that. Otherwise, I think it's been 2 good games and long enough of a stream so that we can end it here. But I quickly want to wait if we get a response. Liszek says, if you give me 7 min, I could do it. Let's see if Jaapaasa is also up for it. It'd be great having both of them. But otherwise, yeah, we can do that. We can find something entertaining for 7 minutes. We can continue talking about the counters, actually. But yeah, I think... Again, I think Rukma could work on the Axis side from those that weren't banned. Just for the reason that it is so cheap in a lot of ways. Jaapaasa can't. Okay, that's very understandable. I think we're gonna leave that then. I think both would have been the optimal way. But I think we're gonna leave that then. We might do it another time with the finals though. Sure. What division would you play? If I had free choice, not limited by any sides, with the bands that were there. So assume that we had the same bands, but not listed by faction. Probably not Axis, honestly. I don't think any of the Axis divisions here would really have been my preferred choice. Oh, okay, fair enough, Jaapaasa. That's all good. That's all good. My pick, I think I would have gone with 126th. Or 26th, that's what someone also suggested. But those, I think, would have been the most competitive picks on the Allied side. If you want to really face, if you really want to face it head on, basically. I think those are the most reasonable picks here, considering the bans. Other than that, I think Ruchma would have been like a maybe third or fourth choice. The problem is this division has so many issues, especially range is a massive problem. So there's that. So it's not, I really wouldn't try. First Panchelas actually could have maybe done it as well. Just remembering that one. Although the problem is it's just weaker everywhere. But I think that division could have done as well. You have good artillery and you have these as well. But I think it struggles. A phase would have been a no. I don't think. Actually, no. Your A phase is too weak. You can't do that. You could have done that. Never mind. But yeah, I think on the Axis side, I had to play Axis, maybe Ruchma. Not my first pick. Or it wouldn't be if I had other options, but maybe something to consider. Maybe just spam it. Oh, actually, I know what I would have done on the Axis side. I'm not joking. I am not joking. I would 100% do that. That's out. Hear me out. Okay, here we go. You group on Kostritsa. You're usually very much grouped up very often. So the Panzerwerfer and the Nebelwerfer can actually do a lot of damage. You don't need to play this balanced. There's a bit of a trap, especially in Kostritsa. You have, again, good Air Force, which you don't need to use if it's too dangerous, but you have it available. Not having armor is not as big of a problem as it otherwise would if you're playing against the Russell. And you have some AT with this. You can bring this. You can bring that one. And you just outspam Russell. Russell has some expensive options. Russell has expensive units, and you can just outspam it. I'm not joking. On Axis side, with those bans, Teta would have been my first pick, easily. I know it's going to look like a meme, but Teta is really dangerous if you have a lot of expensive infantry. So, again, I would probably have gone with 126th or 26th on Allied side, or if I have free choice, if it had been Axis, this would have been it for me, I think. Because this thing is really good, if used correctly. You can also lose really hard with this, don't get me wrong. Like, I have lost horribly playing this division, but I've also won some surprising games with this. So there's that. So that was that. But yeah. There's also, if you've seen my Playing Evolution video that's just released today, you can actually also see why I was afraid of this originally. Because I think for Kostritsa, this division is actually not as bad as people may think. That being said, this division is one of those cases where I think Koenig has his tier lists for maps. He has a nice, I think, tier of you must really know your division. I think this one goes into there. Where, like, if you're really familiar with this, if you're like proficient with this division, you can make it work well on Kostritsa. But it depends on the matchup, and you still have issues. You really have to work around this. But again, I think that could actually work. Dunkirk top could probably also work. Personally, I think what makes Setau better in my eyes for this map and situation is the fact that you have the Nebels and Panzerwerfer. That makes such a huge difference. So this is why I don't actually think Dunkirchen is good in that case. I think Dunkirchen does the spam, but doesn't follow up with the artillery that your spam can really support super well. Like, your spam just kind of holds ground and forces, like, blobbing in one area, and then you can follow up with your rocket artillery. And Dunkirchen can't do the same thing. This is why I'm not a huge fan of Dunkirchen for this matchup. Luftlande 2 an option. Yeah. Well, I think the problem with Luftlander is you're still in a spot where, well, actually, I've never seen the matchup of these guys against the Brandenburger. I think when it comes to CQC, you're still struggling with Luftlander. So I think that problem hasn't changed. But maybe, yeah, because your line infantry is decent. Or good. And we look at, you have the Nevils. I think you can also bring them in B. Yeah, you can. So yeah, I think maybe Luftlander would have been an okay pick too. I think this is one of those cases where you have to go look for divisions that have some other strong tools to kind of counter what your opponent has. You can't try to counter every tab exactly. Canadians and the Kangaroos, no. Not a good call here. You have to wait till B phase until you can do anything on the map really against like Russell. It will really dominate you early on. I can show you the deck as a division. As a balance. Doesn't matter. You have to wait till B phase till you get the Kangaroos where you can really start doing anything. You don't have CQC. This is, I mean, yeah, you have, but it's not good. It dies too quickly. It doesn't have enough of an impact. So I think these will easily lose. Then again, this is the only thing that is good. And like the actual Kangaroo does a lot of the heavy lifting in that. The unit, like the Kangaroo rifle is not a bad unit, don't get me wrong. But the Kangaroo is a lot of what makes it good. There's that. And other than that, the only thing that can really help this division in this matchup is this thing right here. And this one. Actually, this one is better. Why did I take this? This is better. But anyway, I still need to work on that build anyway. It's one of those builds again I have. So I have a lot of my quick play builds I haven't used in ages, and for tournaments I usually build divisions from the ground up again. So always ignore the builds that I show because most of them I've built ages ago and I'm hardly ever actually using it since I don't play that much quick play anymore. But yeah, this division would struggle. It's not good for that. Can we see Jaapaasa's deck? If they have uploaded the games, yeah, they have now. So we should be able to do that. Just give me 1 second. And there we go. Baza. All right. Let's look it up. There we go. This is Jaapaasa's build. I think it's yeah, this is a good build. This is how I will build it too. Really nothing to complain about here. He's used the light army. He hasn't taken this because in this matchup this is not really that good. It could actually do well against a Steward, but I assume he didn't really see that as that big of an issue. Snipers, the recon cast, the usual. This again, like someone asked why he didn't take these in A phase. You have this phase locked to A phase. You have these phase locked to A phase. You have Brandenburg that you want to take in A phase if you play Vanguard. So there's just no reason to have this in A phase as well. And that means you actually have some CQC for the long run. He actually took these in B phase, which very often you see people taking them in A phase too. To a total of 73 infantry, which considering some of these are expensive. Some of them are actually quite cheap though. But it's not bad. It's very acceptable. You can definitely run out in a long grind, which it's good for Jaapaasa that didn't happen. Otherwise, I think that would have been where Liszek might have turned this around, actually. What else? Artillery, I mean, these are all you need. And yeah, now we can see. 8 rounds a minute is still not great for the caliber, but it's okay. If you combine them with these, are actually good. But it's not what happened. Bipsa is a good build, but I really don't see how this is that great. Lol, I just think the matchup was weird and Jaapaasa played better. Well, look, the problem with this is, except maybe Kessel these days, like some of the banned divisions could handle it, but like this thing is really hard to kill. I think you would agree on that, right? And the problem is it shreds at range and it does super well at close range still. You can overwhelm this at close range. It's not you can't, but the commander is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. And the fact that it has a Gibraltar Ladon can actually force off a lot of things too. Yeah, but like you cannot say it's a good division only because of Vanguard, because I think this is something you have to factor in. Vanguard definitely does a lot of it, but This division you have to play Vanguard. It doesn't have the depth to go even Maverick. It really doesn't. When you have these, you have better CQC. Like this thing is super cheap, very strong. This thing, it's just the size of it means it's relatively long. This thing is a good hybrid unit. You have these two then follow up in B phase, so opponent just can't easily follow up. You have these guys who follow up in B phase as well, so it's really hard to really get past there. And yeah, French Fred says a 15-point ND4 wants to know the location of your Brandenburg. Well, the problem is one of them is not going to do it. You need two, which is still cheaper than a Brandenburger, admittedly so, but you're going to run out. That's the problem. And usually one Brandenburger is not alone. So this is why this is such an obnoxious unit to deal with. And then if you come with, so the problem is with this alone, it generates so much pressure on those maps, Bips, that you can't react in every way you need to. So the Russell Cannon start, especially with the Maverick, with the Vanguard, building up artillery, Air Force, all these kind of things, all of things you need to react to, AA as well, which is really crucial. And then you just have a hard time really following up with dealing with all the pressure you have to utilize armor, snipers, and the super high quality infantry. And then you're supposed to make sure that you're not going to get overwhelmed by the artillery, that you can take care of the A, and that you're not going to get, that you're not losing a lot of units to the air place. So there's that. Yes, exactly, Bips. But this division has to be played Vanguard. You never played Maverick. It is Vanguard. You would never play this with anything but Vanguard. But if you play Vanguard, it's really hard to stop. On the Kostritsa and Cell, it's an absolute monster. It's really hard to counter this. Turbodilly, yes, they did finish. Both games have been played. And VV gets another grenade later. Yes, the Brandenburg still does that. That's true. So it's just, this is the problem. Like, dealing with this is so hard, and then you have all the other tools as well to support. Flamers are definitely a bit better against this division, in my opinion, just because of these two units specifically, and this one as well. So as long as you don't send them into these, that helps a lot. But yeah. But I mean, if you want to see the games, it's I specifically don't say who won. Do not spoil anything. You can definitely go back and rewatch them if you want to. I have a balanced. I mean, like any division, you can play it with any income. It's just, is it a good choice or not? And it's definitely not a good choice. Though I have seen some Chinese guys playing this balanced, and they have still won against me. Though again, I'm not so sure if that was so that was in quick play, and it was quite a while ago during the infantry meta still. So I have some doubts that it still worked, but it was on Ushanov. I don't remember what I played, but that was probably a combination of infantry still OP. Good map for Wrestle, not a good map for me, and a skill difference as well. But generally speaking, I think balance with this is really hard to win. But yeah, I think it's time to call it off here. It was two great games. I hope you enjoyed it today. I'm not really going to do any queue after that. I think I'm going to get too tired. So we'll just call it a day here. Again, I'm gonna, for those of you who have missed it and maybe are new to the channel, I've made a poll about what kind of guides you want to see. I want to do some more guides, and we're gonna start with guides for each map. And again, a little bit of advertisement. The tournament. For those of you who are interested in the tournament that I'm hosting, signups are open. You can find the link in. I haven't put it in the description of the stream yet, but in the description of today's video, you will definitely find it. So you can go over there. If you're in the FOB HQ Discord or on my own Discord, you will find it in the announcement as well. Go sign up if you're interested. And so the only thing that you need to know is basically you're going to build yourself an army group. So you select a number of divisions, and those are the only divisions you can play in the tournament. You can also play every division once, so you have to be very smart about which division you're going to use in which game, because after you use it, it's burnt. You can't use it again. And of course, there's a system in place to make sure that you can't just pick all the best divisions. So you will be playing a mix of top divisions till the lowest of the low. and it should be a lot of fun. So I hope that a lot of people sign up, especially newer players. We're going to do different brackets depending if we get enough signups. I want to do different brackets based on skill, and at the moment we're definitely in need of some more newer players to get a good little bracket going. Ideally, of course, if we get 3 brackets going, that's even better. Then we have a better fine tuning on based on skill level. But 2 I'm already happy with, so go check it out if you want to. Of course, no need to if you're not interested. And yeah, with that out of it. Oh, by the way, I got from Grim Guy, so a little teaser for next week. I'm gonna give it a try and see how it goes and see if you guys like it or not. He sent me some replays of some FOB games that they tried to play, not in the queue, but actually Grim Guy's clan versus the Fox clan of Farid, which is a really good player that you all know. So they did some games also with like map picks and division bans and all these kind of things. So kind of like a tournament a little bit, but just between the 2. So he sent me some of those, and I'm gonna see how well I can cast those, if it's fun. And if it's fun, I will upload it, and then you can decide if it's also fun for you to watch, and then we might sprinkle some of these in every now and then. It's not going to be the main thing. I'm mostly going to do 1v1 stuff, but going to give it a try, and hopefully it's entertaining. Feel free to let me know in the comments then if you like it or not. Anyway, a very, very long intro, but thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We got 2 great games, and I definitely wish Jaapaasa all the best of luck. I think Liszek, it was a semifinals, yeah, so Liszek can still play for first, so I also wish him good luck for that. And yeah, thank you again. Have a great day, and see you all on Monday in the next video.